see your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up and down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you won't need Gardino. Rock up,
A slap to your side, a push on my foolish pride. I'm out of my mind. I'm down from the endless high. Don't know who's losing, who's bruising, who's choosing to stick it through. So we fight with fire. Still on a wire. We fight with fire. Burn with your light. You plead with the tears I cry. Don't know who's losing, who's bruising, who's choosing to stick it through. So we fight with fire. Still on a wire.
I'll give you all that you need. I wanna see the sea, but amazingly, I'm too scared of water. Too scared of water. And I hope that one day you'll find me again. We can run to the top of the mountains. So if I took you back to the place where we first met.
Welcome to the League of Legends Belong Arena Clash. We're back in the studio. I'm Stanley Greyheart Barker, joined in person for the first time ever by Stuart Sid McLeod.
Yeah, we're actually in a room together, meaning if he continues to make puns, I do have the ability to choke him.
I will look forward to that. And now we will be bringing you some fantastic action. We have got the playoffs for our Belong Arena Clash League of Legends. And here are the teams that have made it all the way to the knockout stage. We are going to see the Claymores against the Lionhearts Knight, as well as the Guardians, Leviathans, Spartans and Hunters, and Steelers and Brawlers fill out the bracket.
Yeah, Steelers and Hunters being the first seeds from their groups. Currently undefeated, but on the mainstream, which we are going to be covering tonight, is going to be the Claymores. Clyde, completely unbiased over here, going up against the London Lionhearts. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. London were looking to be a really good team at the start of the split. We predicted them to be one of the favourites, but they started to falter in around that week 2. And Clyde, however, they swept their entire group.
They absolutely did. They're going to be going up against the Lionhearts, finalists from last time, so early into the stream, and yet already one of my absolute highlights there was you showing off your lovely Clyde jersey with not realising you weren't actually on the camera. But you are indeed sporting the Clyde Claymores top. Yeah. I get to sport my Bristol Smugglers top. Unfortunately, they did not make the knockout stages, but frankly, anyone who puts a Kraken with a blunderbuss and a bottle of rum on their top is okay with me.
I mean, it's one of the top tier logos, you got to say, but one of the other top tier logos is the Leviathans, you got to say as well, and they're going to be coming in our second series of the day, which is going to be the Lakeside Leviathans going up against the Tyneside Guardians. It looks to be an interesting one. I know we've heard a couple of people predicting the Guardians, but Leviathans currently still undefeated, looking really strong. They picked up two different awards of our Play of the Week. They were very flashy, very explosive team, and I'm very excited to see if they do blow up or if it blows up in their faces.
One of the reasons, however, that a lot of people have been predicting the Guardians is looking at the group that they've managed to come through. A massive, massive shock. A notable name not on that bracket that we looked at. The Portsmouth Pirates knocked out in group stage. This is the 5-time champions and 1-time second place, not even making it through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Stratford bumping them out in those tiebreakers to be able to get that second place seed, knocking Portsmouth out, and they just look far weaker. Unfortunately, a few roster changes didn't go their way, and now they sit third in that group. And people are saying it's a fairly tough group, but there were 3 teams, all of a fairly equal skill level. It just ended up Portsmouth wasn't the best of the 3.
Okay, well, they're a team who unfortunately we won't be talking about anymore throughout the night because they are not here to take part in the competition.
The only group with without an undefeated team.
That is true, and you know we get to have a little look at our first seed. So the ones that we're looking at tonight, the Clyde Claymores undefeated, as you say. The Lakeside Leviathans also undefeated. The Claymores, we can take a look at their lineup. They've got Tarakio, Galagnar, Morkant, No Foxgiven, Afande, and Hawkmoth.
And on the other side, of course, the London Lionhearts with Regan, True Rambo, Lovesick, Godmid, and Precision. And the Lionhearts, like we said at the start of the season, we were thinking that they would be one of the favourites. They're in a fairly rough group, but Clyde, the only other team other than Portsmouth to have won a championship currently. And with Portsmouth out of the running, you got to think Clyde, they're the next in line. They're the true inheritors of that big favorite title.
You say that, but they are, they have pedigree of their own, having, as you say, been the only team winning a title apart from the Pirates. However, they're going up against the team that took the Pirates so very, very close in our most recent finals at Insomnia 64. It was in fact, I believe, a reverse sweep from 2-0 up. The London Lionhearts unfortunately going on to lose 3-2 to the Portsmouth Pirates, and now they're back with a chance for revenge. But only one of these two teams, the two teams who, as we've now said, have most recently faced off against Portsmouth in the final, only one of them has even an opportunity to get there to Insomnia 65.
And we got to say that the this is a very hype matchup, especially if you look at the history. These are probably the two most storied remaining teams after Portsmouth has been unfortunately knocked out so early. So seeing them going up against each other this early is a little bit heartbreaking. We could have hoped we'd seen this one later, maybe even the potential of seeing it in the finals. But the matchup is here and now, and we have to be excited for it because this could be a close one. But Clyde, they've been looking on such great form that they could just blow this out completely.
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree with you. And while I like to raise the counterpoints about why the London Lionhearts have such pedigree themselves, at the end of the day, they are still coming out as second from their group rather than first. The Claymores still to taste defeat, and they'll be hoping to keep that run continuing. We are jumping in live to our newest patch tonight. It's 9.15. Pantheon rework has not come out and hit the servers just yet. So we are gonna see all sorts of other things, however, that have changed for patch 9.15. A few little changes, little buffs and nerfs here and there. Vayne, one champion that's come on the receiving end of it.
I mean, Vayne got a minor buff to the E. It's really a buff that doesn't really fit into the game in my opinion, because it's just, okay, we're going to buff the damage when her E causes a target to collide into a wall. That's not really helping her. If you gave the utility of the cooldown buff perhaps on her E, something along those lines to actually provide her more utility, she's not really using her E for damage, rarely ever. She's using it to set up the damage of landing the auto attacks. One of the interesting changes though is they did give that love tap to Swain, where they're like, Swain not performing quite to the level we want him to. Now his Q does penetrate minions. They nerfed the level, the range of the Q. Now they've buffed it right back up again by, I think it's 100 units, and that is going to allow the Swain to wave clear so much more effectively, so much safer at that extra distance, and it could mean that we see a fair amount of him. I know some people have been playing him in the bot lane because he is just that much safer now.
It's entirely possible we don't see it tonight. We haven't actually seen it yet across our streams for Belong Arena Clash during the group stage. However, one champion that has risen to a certain level of prominence in the jungle is a champion that I used to main, that you still absolutely love, and that's Evelynn. It's taken a bit of a nerf this patch.
Yeah, a little bit, again, another love tap, but this is in the opposite direction. It's Evelynn ends up just getting a 10% cooldown reduction less on her Q when she uses it on a monster. So it's a little bit hurting her clear a little bit. Doesn't hurt her damage whatsoever, other than the fact that maybe she's missing an extra 50 gold that she needed to turn a Dark Seal into an Amp Tome, something like that. But it's just really not going to hurt her all that much. One of the changes, though, one of the champions that I have looked at since the 9.14 changes, because we haven't really seen much on 9.14 as well. It's been a couple weeks since we were last here. So it's the Cassiopeia has something that's been rising up a lot. Since the W changes, where you can throw the W range pretty much in melee range, you can throw it without a minimum or a maximum cast range other than the given maximum range. It's just so easy to deny a lot of these matchups, and previously you could look at something like Illusion, which you could counter Cassiopeia with. You could dash within her range, she couldn't throw down the W. Now she could just throw the W directly on top of him, break his legs, and then run him down.
Well, let's see whether there'll be any leg breaking or not. We'll be jumping into Champ Select in just a matter of time, and that time will tell us whether or not those are some of the champions that we get to see on the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends stream, which all of you out there are watching right now, in case you didn't realise.
In case you didn't realise,
just in case you didn't know. Maybe you jumped on and thought you were, watching a Life is Strange playthrough or something like that.
Maybe watching an Overwatch League.
No one does that.
No.
So, one of the other things that we're going to get to find out tonight is, who are the superior teams, who are going to be making their way one step closer to Insomnia 65 and that esports stage. There are best of three quarterfinals tonight. The semi-finals next week will be played in the same fashion. It will be a best of 5 when we get to Insomnia on the weekend, I believe, of August 23rd to 26th. And it's just such a fantastic event. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go to an Insomnia.
Unfortunately, I haven't, but this is going to be my first one, and I'm excited for it. So
you are right to be excited. It is, for my money, best esports event you can go to in the UK. Maybe slightly biased. However, it's absolutely wonderful. So much great action going on. Not only will we have the League of Legends finals, but also we're going to see Overwatch, we're going to see Mortal Kombat, we're going to see Rocket League, and one where they kick a ball around, but there's no actual physical ball.
I think it's called FIFA.
That's the one, FIFA.
Yeah.
But they just give it a bit of time. No one really goes to watch it. It's just this big guy who really would rather talk about League of Legends than FIFA. But he does a good job. To be fair to him.
Yeah, we love George here, but he's
got a
a
lot
League
of
of Legends guy. We know he is. So one of the things I do want to talk to you about is we've seen so many exciting pick changes. We've seen more assassins coming out in the mid lane than ever before, with LeBlanc coming back, with Qiyana coming back. And what sort of picks are you excited to see? Because there's been a lot rising up, but what would you want to see more than anything?
I've still only had one opportunity to cast a Quinoa game. And I did manage to get through the entire game calling a Quinoa and pretty much the entirety of Twitch chat, so I'd like to be able to keep that up. I'm not haven't had it confirmed to me exactly what's been banned and what's allowed. Mordekaiser feels like a dead meme at this point.
I want to check with production because I know there has been some Taliyah and Jace bans across multiple regions recently. They were causing some lag in game for some people. I'm not sure if that's fixed on the 9.15 patch. If it has, then obviously we don't need to worry about it. But those champions, like Taliyah especially, has a champion that's been coming back quite a lot in the mid lane, giving her some free wave clear in the mid lane, being able to roam around with the ultimate. Definitely very useful. And Jace been falling out of favour a bit, but still a very good bully matchup in the top lane.
Okay, so we'll bring you that information as to whether or not they're banned out for tonight. One thing that I always look towards is the jungle, and for me, I don't know, jungle's been 4 or 5 champions in the most part, apart from some slightly unusual picks. So, and just getting it in my ear that all champions are open, and that includes Mordekaiser as well.
Okay,
so this could be the first time we see Mordekaiser in competitive play in any region for quite some time. Call your friends.
Yeah, it's been a champion that... it had to stay the way when Mordekaiser got reworked. The champion with the most bugs ever in League of Legends had to be so bugged that he was banned from competitive play for weeks. It just had to be that way. There was no other way.
Yeah, there certainly wasn't. However, even though there probably are still plenty of bugs out there, we might have the opportunity to see that absolute terror in the top lane.
At least it's not going to be as bad as when you ult somebody, they can't use their abilities anymore for the rest of the game. That was some funny cheese that you could pull out on people.
Was that Corki if you had the package enabled, you'd never get to pick it up as well?
Yeah, there was stuff like that. What Renekton was literally like, you had no abilities that you could cast.
There's been some great bugs recently.
Yeah.
One thing that might as well be a bug because it was so crazy to watch is we got to see not that long ago a Garen Yuumi bot lane paired up together. Now, is there anything that's changed in the last patch or two that maybe would mean that's not such an option?
Well, I did scrim against
see that.
I did scrim against it the other day actually when we were in scrims. Obviously, I can't mention the team we're against. Don't want to leak scrim results.
No, of course not.
But It's a really interesting duo where basically the Garen wants to survive the laning phase. It's fairly... You would think it's quite abusive. You could use the Yuumi to control the lane really easily, but Garen gets poked out early on unless he can get a really aggressive matchup into some fairly short-range enemy champions. Then you can try and punish them for it. And it gets to a point where Garen just becomes unkillable. He gets all these bonus stats and heals from Yuumi that it's so hard to break through all this bonus health he's getting. So I think it's still very strong, but it requires so much to be... worked around as a team to make it work that maybe we're not going to see a team ready to pump that many resources into a Garen.
And, of course, if you do pick up the Yuumi, there's always the possibility that despite 5 surrounding members of the opposition team, you might be able to steal a Baron with your prancing projectile, as we saw in competitive play just a week or so ago. Just had a reconfirmation in my ear that while we are going to see Taliyah and Jace both open, Mordekaiser is still too damn bugged, so he definitely will not be on the table.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But like we said, Mordekaiser just has a few too many issues at the minute. Has some things he needs to work through first before we can see him.
Small word of concern there. I think I did tell everyone to tell their friends that this could be the first time we see Mordekaiser in competitive play.
Yeah.
Tell all your friends that it's still going to be amazing, but no Mordekaiser.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into Champions League. Finally got the games here. And,
here we go.
Okay, so... The Thresh ban straight away, nice target ban. This is still an aggressive support pick that does pair well with a lot of the more aggressive ADCs that we're seeing in the meta. We're still seeing a lot of Kai'Sa, a lot of Lucian, even though the meta did develop for a while into pretty much just the Sivir Ezreal farm lane setup. And it does do fairly well into the Xayah as well, as Xayah Rakan.
So hopefully these are the exact bans as they're coming through. It certainly makes sense that they would be. One of the things that we're going to notice as the picks come through is that as this has all been previously done in Pro Draft, we're not going to sort of see the regular order of picks. We're going to see the top laner picked up first.
Nope, we're seeing the proper pick order.
I love this. I'm surprised to see it, but I absolutely love this.
So the Sivir responded to by Caitlyn Lux. Okay, this is Caitlyn Lux is an aggressive bot lane. Like, Lux has been nerfed, but at the same time, this bot lane can be so oppressive. If you land one binding, Caitlyn lands a full combo. It's similar to Caitlyn Morgana, but the Lux just provides a little bit more in terms of the utility and a lot less in terms of the damage.
We're going to see Final Spark and Ace in the Holes coming from both sides of the Rift, adding Cataclysms to it as well. Sylas will be here to hijack your ultimates.
And so the Sylas jungle, yeah, another champion that's been changed a bit. His ultimate's actually on a balanced cooldown now. It's gone up to 60 seconds. So he's in a bit of a different spot than he used to be in. However, I'm looking at the Jarvan on the opposing side, because Sylas loves having Jarvan ultimate. He has such a long range of engage with the E, and the fact that he can run people down with that, and he's got the slows on the Q. That the Jarvan ultimate just provides him an area in which his little circle passive just does damage to everyone inside it pretty easily.
So I think some of the confusion here is coming from the fact that people are out of their position. So we're not seeing a standard LCS order here, which maybe is leaving us a little more confused in terms of the pickups that are being drafted. I still very much expect to see the standard ADC matchups. We'll have to wait and see where everybody else goes towards. Camille is going to be the next lock-in for the London Lionhearts.
Yeah, the Camille... just a very good split pusher at the minute. It transitions really well into team fights compared to most split pushers. And Kled, another one that's much more team fight focused, however. Whereas Camille wants to be able to stomp lane to the point where she can just continue split pushing if she wants and then use the advantage to roam first. Kled, he can just brute force it. He pops his ultimate. He will get there before you, regardless of the fact that you are ahead of him or not.
So Kled was one of those champions who really benefited from the changes in 9.14. Are you able to talk us through what's happened with that?
Yeah, they just added some healing reduction to the pull on his Q. He's generally countered by Fiora in general, and so it's made the Fiora matchup a little bit more bearable, but at the same time, in this matchup in particular, it hasn't really changed all that much. Camille doesn't rely on healing too much. She is just going to be able to fight him pretty much the same way she would before.
Okay, well, we're getting to see the full order on the side of the Clyde Claymores, who have very kindly put themselves in order for us. However, on this, for the London Lionhearts, I'm pretty confident we're going to see that Camille up into the top lane and the Nico in the mid lane. That could easily be the other way around. Jarvan, of course, will be your jungler, and I believe that is going to be the Caitlyn Lux bot lane, as you so rightly predicted, Sig.
So what you've got is Jarvan jungle, and then in top lane you've got better Jarvan. Camille, who... as a jungler was just the better version of Jarvan. Jarvan only came back once Camille was pushed out of the jungle. And you've got another champion with a big circle. You just line up all your circles, you create the Venn diagram, and anybody in the center of it all is just going to die. It's as simple as that for the side of the London Lionhearts. But Clyde, they've got a much more AoE, slow-paced fight where they get to dictate the tempo. They've got the Kled to go forward, they've got the Sivir to go forward, but at the same time, the Braum and the Sylas can really help them go backwards when you look at some of the ultimates the Sylas is going to be stealing.
Well, this is exactly what I was thinking. You talk about all these circles that are all going to be in a loop. He gets to choose which one of those he wants, whether it be the Pop Blossom or the Hextech Ultimatum or the Cataclysm. The only circle he can't steal is, of course, going to be that Mega Inferno Bomb of Ziggs.
One of the things that is great, though, for Sylas, because he's got so many auto resets, he actually utilizes the Camille ultimate quite effectively, where you get percentage health damage on hit. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he does utilize that one quite effectively. It's very good to create a capture target, because Camille, what she generally wants to do is target out on a mobile ADC. Even a mobile ADC, lock them down, break their legs, trap them in that hexagon, and then allow the rest of the team to collapse. So if you're looking at what she's going to do here, it's the Ziggs, it's the Sivir, who need to be trapped in the center of that Hextech Ultimatum and run down. But Sylas, who's he going to be targeting? That Caitlyn has a big bullseye directly on her forehead.
Here in this game one, best of the best of three for the quarterfinals. Who do you feel has drafted the most effectively? We know the Clyde Claymores are unbeaten coming into this match. Have the London Lionhearts done enough through this draft to give themselves a chance of changing that?
I gotta say, London, they have a composition that's very ease of execution. They just press all the R keys together and they win a fight because of it. But if you're looking for a much more well-rounded comp that can play those fights effectively, can press all the buttons and win a fight, but also has the ability to play the neutral game a far superior level, I'm looking at Clyde, and I'm expecting them to put on a macro clinic to be able to rotate around the map with the Kled, with the Sivir, and break down towers so quickly. When you've got a Ziggs, that's all you need to do.
So, end of the day, you're going Clyde?
Clyde.
You're going Clyde. You're sticking with your shirt.
I mean, no bias.
You can show it off properly now. You didn't have the opportunity during the... you are so proud of that. You know what? I'm very proud of
It's
my
got my name on the back. I'm pretty happy with it.
Because, you know, my waistcoat is going to the final even if the Bristol Smugglers aren't.
They'll be there in spirit. It's fine.
They certainly will. And I will definitely continue to cheer for them for split after split, even if they continue to dumpster out at the group stage. Looking at it and sort of making my own decision as towards this one, well, it's always hard to disagree with you, to be perfectly honest. You put up such a solid argument for why things are as they are, and yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to do with this bot lane. I think that
exactly.
you've got so much poke. I'm sure you've already said this. So much poke coming out of the Caitlyn, coming out of the Lux, the ability to have that oppressive lane. But you've got so much safety in the mana shield, in the Braum shield.
But at the same time, you got to think about Caitlyn Lux as very targetable. They aren't very mobile champions.
Yeah.
Caitlyn only has the E to escape, and Sylas, very good early aggressive jungler. If he comes into that bot lane, it's really hard to see them escape, especially when you got a Braum. And as we mentioned, auto resets. He can proc Braum's passive very quickly.
And this is, of course, the danger with having this aggressive style bot lane, that if they don't have the escapes, as you know, pointing out there, then there is absolutely no way out for them, and all of a sudden their aggression turns into counter-aggression, it turns into a Sivir or a Sylas being fed, or more importantly, a Braum.
I mean, Braum's pretty buff. You give Braum all the kills, he just gets buffer.
I found out something interesting.
Yeah?
I'm not... how PG is this? It's PG enough. So,
oh, I like where this is going. Here we go.
So you know the fantastic statues that they've been doing. They have like a line of the cooler statues, not the little cheapies.
Yeah.
So saw the Braum one at my time at the studios elsewhere recently. Turns out Braum doesn't have any nipples.
Fun facts brought to you by Stanley Greyheart Barker. Braum does not have nipples.
And also, there's a friend of mine who is, I would argue, the top Braum cosplayer, maybe in the world, definitely in the UK. So I think for realism, next time he does that cosplay, he's probably just going to have to get the sandpaper out.
Just go for full realism as best you can, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, Dave, that's some news I'm breaking to you here live on stream.
We know Riot is all about the left nipple. Only champions are allowed to expose their left nipple. Yasuo, Rakan. They've only got one nipple covered. They've only got one nipple covered. This is a well-known fact.
Oh my gosh, how have I
It's like the 27 Club, but it's only with the left nipple.
So anyway, we've got the Clyde Claymores going up against the London Lionhearts in Game 1 of this best of 3 series. And we are thankfully into game. Thank you so much, producers. And we can see straight away, this is the line of the Clyde Claymores running together into the top lane, looking potentially to catch out Camille.
And so there's a 5-man stack walking up here. You've got the ability to get the Braum's stun very quickly stacked, especially when you have all this bonus attack speed. You can even go Kled W if you need to, just to help proc it. But has to start E to be able to get out happily, doesn't have to risk anything.
It's not ideal for the top lane start for Precision, however, he is going to, like you say, be safe.
It doesn't really matter so much in the mid lane with a name like Precision. You assume he's played a lot of Camille. He's very aware when you stack, the enemy team does want to stack in these tribe rushes. It's so easy to escape if you just lock in that one ability that can help you escape. You can give up a couple CS early. At least you didn't give up First Blood or your Flash.
I'm interested to watch the timing on this. We've got 20 seconds before these buffs are starting up. It's taken quite a long time for this trio to find their way
spotted out,
all the way. And obviously, they've got the vision down in the red side buff of the London Lionhearts. But they're going to find that the Claymores have done exactly the same thing to them. Meanwhile, Lux and Caitlyn waiting in the tri-brush, possible traps coming in.
Yeah, so the potential to engage from the tri-brush very large. We talked about this a bit before with the Xayah and Rakan having the ability to catch them out, but they are going to sit around here. Maybe the Lux just wants to land a Q, deny them those first 3 CS by landing an ability to zone them off. Instead, they are just going to walk back to the wave, maybe try and just get control of the shove as early as possible.
Sivir and Braum wisely going around the Krug path rather than straight through the tri-bush. They, of course, will find Caitlyn and Lux in their lane once they finally arrive, and it's going to be an early advantage towards level 2 for True Rambo and Regan very, very shortly.
And so now, if we just quickly take stock of this, we can see that the Caitlyn is going to have a fair amount of push early. They're going to be able to control the wave quite early because of the Lux's E as well. It just gives you that much of an ability to shove in. Generally, the other bot lane that gets quite a lot of shards as well. And if you can utilize that, if you're the Jarvan, to potentially walk down into the bot lane and get that first tower, get them rotating around the map. That is their snowball point on the map. That is the point of the map they need to open up as soon as possible to get London into that mid game.
Well, that's a serious amount of damage being put down. The Ignite is their heal used by NoFox to keep his support alive. That's going to be Fande immediately having to flash himself away. Meanwhile, we've got ourselves a 2 versus 2. The Clyde Claymores, top laner and jungler running away from the Lionhearts.
And Precision does blow his flash, but Morgan burns his in return. So Precision just holding on to the top wave matchup, still about even up there. If producers don't mind switching around the scoreboard, that would be great.
We'll let them know exactly who needs to be where in just a moment, but right now we got ourselves a duel. It's going to be Lovesick flashing away. Camille securing the first blood. Does see Jarvan dying. It's going to be a 1-for-1, and the rotation from Galagnar is absolutely fantastic. Getting himself a kill, landing into a little bit of a root from the Nico, but not even close to enough damage to take down this Ziggs. It's going to be a 2-for-1 in favour of the Clyde Claymores, but they did give away the first blood.
Yeah, and Precision getting that one off of a nice little E to get in there, make sure she picks up that kill. However, even though the top side is having this hyper-aggressive 2v2, the fact that they're drawing attention away from the bot lane is allowing True Rambo and Regan to just get full control, shove this wave in, and they're already starting to make work on these tower shards.
Just a quick word to our wonderful producers. The London Lionhearts lineup, if we could drag it around from the scoreboard, should have Precision at the top, then it's going to be Lovesick, then Ram, then True Rambo, then Regan. If you're able to do that, that would be absolutely awesome, but no trouble if not, because, you know, we're all smart enough to work it out for ourselves.
Yeah, of course, gonna hopefully see what the first pickups are here, and I'm interested to see how early we see this Camille able to get the Tiamat, because in a melee versus melee matchup like this, when you want to be wave clearing as quickly as possible into your opponent, the Tiamat is the breakpoint. If you hit Tiamat first, you stomp the matchup, and if they hit the Tiamat first, you've really got to play on the defensive. You have to let them shove into you and play around that under tower. Even if you're giving them control, you can't afford to buy into those trades.
Meanwhile, Precision and Hawkmoth continuing those trades that we are talking about. Precision doesn't seem too scared of Hawkmoth, who is happily mounted on Scar right now.
But he does have double buffs, so he should be able to win out a trade given an extended opportunity to, even though he is down a little bit, having gone for that Doran's shield and Doran's blade compared to just 2 longswords straight up from the Camille, but buying into the scaling. The Kled buying a lot more into the early game fights.
Precision not quite having the precision there to land the stun on towards Hawkmoth.
He's just zoning him off the wave.
Well, this is the thing, and one of the main things with Hawkmoth is that he's, of course, mounted on towards Skull, and the more that not True Rambo, but Precision can take little chunks of damage down, the less likely it is that Skull is around for the key fights. Meanwhile, Morkant and Lovesick finding each other in the jungle. Morkant looking to get the damage, but so far Lovesick just has got more of it. Once again, Galagnar with the fast rotations. Lovesick does not have a flash available. His port's so far out, and Galagnar secures that kill. Meanwhile, Kled and Galagnar are going to keep on running towards the Nico, seeing if they can find any more out of this fight, but Galagnar will be more than happy to be 2-0 right now.
And the Clyde Claymores, they are picking up this early game off of some cleaner rotations. You look at the fact that Galagnar has been able to pick up those 2 kills just from having the wave shove, being able to roam first. You look at the fact that Hawkmoth, because he was able to freeze the wave in front of the tower, it meant that Precision couldn't be there in time for that fight, and so he was able to get involved in the kill as well. And Clyde, they are just picking up these small advantages bit by bit. And it's giving this comp that we said scales very well an advantage in multiple lanes.
And Sin, it feels very much like it's a case of the Lionhearts biting off more than they could chew. The 2v2 in the top lane that ended up becoming a 3v2 because of Galagnar. Again, Lovesick going into the jungle there where he absolutely didn't need to try and steal away a camp or even just some vision, finding himself caught out by that man Galagnar. It's London Lionhearts who are giving these advantages away, even though the Clyde Claymores are going out and reaching out, claiming them with open arms.
And you know, no Fox given. He's just been sitting here chilling in the bot lane, just losing some CS, trying to lose as gracefully as possible, knowing that his team's going to be winning on the rest of his map, trying to live up to his name as best as he can.
Silas appearing in the top lane. He's going to take a little bit of harassment, but is going to be safe enough having put that control ward down. Galagnar has stepped straight
Don't die for
across.
an Ocean Drake, please.
Meanwhile, Lovesick has started off the dragon and has died for the 3rd time this game. All of those to Galagnar, the mid laner here, stealing one away with the Mega Inferno Bomb. Now turning damage back towards Ram, who's had to throw down the Pot Blossom, and it's going to be Ziggs rooted up. He's not going to be able to chase down the Nico. However, the dragon is free and easy for the taking if the Claymores want it.
When you're behind on tempo, Ocean Dragon is not the hill to die on. They buy into it too aggressively. Lovesick goes down very low, and Galagnar, he just picked it up with a Mega Inferno Bomb.
He did, and now Morkant is stepping straight towards the Caitlyn. The slow is already there. Concussive Blow's not quite going to the land, and True Rambo able to get himself the damage, get himself to safety while putting damage down onto 3 members of the Claymores. Nice fast feet coming out of the London Lionhearts ADC.
I'm looking at this top lane matchup right now because it seems like Precision has a lot better control of it. And even though Hawkmoth, he has been the one roaming first, he's just been sitting back and letting Precision shove. He's been playing as if Precision already has that Tiamat breakpoint. Doesn't really want to buy into these trades very aggressively, especially when he is down a level. Just very afraid of fighting, and unfortunately for him, it's only going to get worse if he allows the Camille to get to that Triforce coming fairly shortly afterwards.
One thing that is looking good for the Lionhearts is the fact, as you say, that Precision is continually doing alright in these trades against the Kled.
And so Hawkmoth currently sitting comfortably under his tower here, but he's has to be worried of the dive potential.
There is a lot of it. Lovesick, he's bitten off more than he can chew a couple of times in this game, but will this time be one of them? Charge has been issued by Kled as Hawkmoth just continues the zone, clears out the wave, and nothing happens.
Yeah, just able to zone them off. We wanted to use the ultimate just to get a small shield, survive a little bit longer in the fights. So I think he's doing pretty well there. I think he's deciding to just forfeit the lane there as well. But unfortunately, because they've got these two lanes forfeiting, they have to rely on the fact that they've got that 10 to 15 minute mark.
They absolutely have. There is obviously this advantage for the ADC. True Rambo for the London Lionhearts. He has gone back and completed himself. That BF sword has got a decent bit of damage, continuing the poke. However, Sivir, as you've said so rightly since so many times, is just safely farming up. Also has the BF sword as well. A considerable nice chunk of damage, and the Sivir will scale so much heavier than the Caitlyn. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we can see that the CS numbers are very, very nice for Neeko. However, she is down 3 kills, and that's almost completed. That's almost completed Ludens for Galagnar. Meanwhile, Neeko hoping probably to try and get that next blue buff. We've got to see if Lovesick can stay a little bit safer. He's opted in towards the more aggressive build. He's going for the warrior enchant. The fact that he's died 3 times so far has been such a downside for his team. It's the entire reason why this gold lead is in favour of the Clyde Claymores right now. So we do see just the slow change around. We've managed to sort out, thank you very much to everybody at production who sorted that one out so that we've got the right players in the right places, makes that a little bit easier for us to watch. The question is, will this be an easy pickup for the Clyde Claymores? Pop Blossom is there from the London Lionhearts. Here comes the flag, there's the drag. Cataclysm is available for Lovesick. He gets knocked away both by his Ziggs and then by the Glacial Fisher. Teleports coming in, a massive fight is brewing. The Cataclysm locks down the Braum, but he flashes himself out of it. Now we can see that Regan has joined. He's got a lot of damage from that Lux, and now the Hextech ultimatum completely locking everybody out. But Precision is the one who dies, even though he issued that ultimatum. Meanwhile, a chase from Hawkmoth means that Haram finally dies after so many times just about escaping with his life. A 2 for 0, a dragon on the back of it, and things go from bad to worse for the London Lionhearts.
And getting caught out in the river once again. Ocean Dragon is not the hill to die on, and once again they get caught out here. Hawkmoth picking up more kills, and even though he was losing the lane, look at his scoreline, 2-0-3. He doesn't care anymore. The fact that Precision ended up just now picking up the Tiamat means that he's going to match the item spike. He's going to be able to lane effectively against her and doesn't have to be anywhere near afraid, especially when he can back off and get that Ocean Dragon buff for the healing. Even though we say that Ocean Dragon isn't the best, in the early game when you need that healing to back off in the lane matchup, it can pay dividends.
Key moment during that fight was where we saw the Hextech ultimatum issued, and my eyes may have deceived me. I thought it was Precision who was issuing it. However, it's entirely possible actually it was Morkant having stolen it away with the hijack. In the end, it was the death of Precision, and it was the end of the fight as we know it.
So now we can see that the Ziggs is set up decently in the mid lane at 3-0 to be able to get some control with the 70 CS, a bit of a lead for himself, but the fact that he is going to be able to wave clear consistently means he can rotate into these side lanes first. It means he can potentially get down to the bot lane once he's got that tempo advantage, but right now Ram, he's the one with the control, he's the one shoving out. But what we want to see this Ziggs doing with the advantage, walking towards the bot lane, setting up a siege, and using that empowered satchel charge to blow up a turret early as possible, get his team rotating around the map first, get them control of mid lane, and utilize that to maybe even get a Rift Herald to snowball the game further and accelerate this faster away from the London Lionhearts.
This time, my eyes helped me out a little bit. I remember that I have those little things inside my head where I can actually see whose ultimate's been stolen. This time, the Cataclysm taken away from Lovesick and given to Morkant, so we're going to have yet another ganking opportunity for the now 1-1 and 3 jungle of the Clyde Claymores. Meanwhile, the two champions have already got themselves a Tiamat, continuing their trades in the top lane. It's not really a wet noodle fight because, you know, you've got two champions who can do a significant amount of damage, but we've not really seen either of them that close to dying outside of the early trades. Meanwhile, someone who might be close to dying is going to be Regan, who's just completely caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, opting to try and run towards the turret, trying to get as far to safety as possible, but the Mega Inferno Bomb will just grant an assist over to Galagnar, who's now 3-0-1. The kill will be the first of the game, but no Fox given.
And now the rotation down here from the Neeko and the Jarvan, they're going in hard.
Lovesick wants this, but I'm not entirely sure that he should. He dies for the 4th time this game, still very, very squishy. Does manage to hand over a kill to Ram. The Neeko, who has got the only real significant, I was going to say CS lead, but has now lost that CS lead to the Ziggs. manages to pick up a kill. Hawkmoth,
Oh god, he's gonna go down.
finally, the wet noodle fight stops being wet noodles and starts being dry noodles. No.
Ramen.
Right. And that is a nice couple of kills for London Lionhearts as they turn things around a little bit. Fortunately for them, the gold lead hasn't completely snowballed out of hand.
Yeah, so now for the Kled getting 1v1'd in that matchup, now we finally see a breakpoint where Precision can find windows into the fight. That fight went all the way from top lane down into the mid lane as he just got chased. He did not want to fight there. And unfortunately for him, without the Ninja Tabi completed, it's much harder to win out that 1v1. So the Kled, he's having a little bit of an easier time in lane, but in those extended fights where you put them in an open space where he doesn't have the tower to back off to, you can see that the long lane punishes Kled hard. So they need to defend their towers desperately to make sure he isn't going to be exposed by this split pushing Camille.
8 kills to 3 and a little bit of turret plating being secured for the Clyde Claymores. You would think that there would be a really significant gold lead, but it's only just over 1,000. Decent CS numbers for the Camille, for the Java, not too far behind on anybody else as well, mean that actually the Lionhearts are easily keeping tabs with the Claymores right now.
And of course, the Lionhearts, they do have the window back into the game, which is their pick potential. The fact that they can layer all these circles on top of each other, try and get an outnumbered situation where the Glacial Nico, if we're looking at that 2-item spike, once she's got the Spooky Ghosts, where they can potentially set it up, so Lovesick and Precision engage, she can follow up after she's set it up with the Spooky Ghost. You can get an outnumbered situation where you catch somebody off guard, collapse on a side lane, and you build your advantages by just punishing people who are out of position, who are overcommitting. But at the same time, that is risky. You do have to commit a lot of resources, a lot of ultimates for a play that might not always go your way. So that is a desperation way back into the game, but it's one of the few ways that Lionhearts can try and build an advantage.
And they really need that advantage because while they're doing well to not fall too far behind, that's almost not good enough at this point because the scaling goes so dramatically in favour of Clyde.
Yes, exactly, because of the fact that there is so much of a scaling favor when you look at the Sivir, when you look at the Ziggs. It's a lot harder to see this going well when the gold lead is this close.
Precision doing his best fancy footwork to try and stay safe, but opts to dive back in. Is he going to be able to get the damage down? The Hextech Ultimatum has been issued on Precision, who in turn issues one of his own, trapping the Silas in, but unable to take down Morkan, who gets the 1 kill. The 2-for-1 going in favour of the Claymores.
And Hawkmoth with the remount in that fight, crucial to allowing them to pick it up. And they're going to pick up some nice tower damage on the backside of it as well. We'll see if they can get that first tower, which is still looming. After the 15-minute mark, it's very rare that a tower hasn't fallen at this point, especially with this many kills. But Clyde, they haven't really transferred their advantage in fights into objectives. It's only really been the Ocean Dragon that they've managed to pick up for themselves. Next one being Mountain, so maybe we'll see a hotter contestant around that. But all the same, Clyde just need to do more with this tempo advantage they keep developing.
Mountain Dragon very much so considered to be one of the best dragons in the game. Certainly more rewarding than an Ocean would be. Jarvan, I believe, has already started that dragon up. May get caught out if he's not careful. We know what happened last time round.
And True Rambo being zoned off of the dragon area because of no Fox Given and, of course, the Braum.
2 teleports coming in. We're going to have ourselves a juicy old brawl. Here comes the pop blast, and the dragon gets secured by Jarvan. Lionhearts get 1. Now can they get the kill? Zhonya's from Ram, keeping himself
there
alive.
Goes Precision.
Managing to kill off Precision, and Afande is still very, very low, running away. But there are no Fox Given by that ADC, who's going to find himself 2. Nice and easy. No dragon for the Claymores, but they do get the kills on the back. The fight goes perfectly. They will almost certainly get a first turret as well.
And that's the dragon that's worth fighting over, but they fight very split. Precision and Ram, they want to dive in, but everyone else wants in and then immediately out after Lovesick steals the dragon. They think, okay, dragon's gone, everybody out, we got to get out of here, we're safe now, we got the objective we needed to.
Safe.
But half the team commits, half the team doesn't. It costs them dearly and they die for it.
Yeah, that's not the sort of safe I like personally. London Lionhearts getting themselves a nice objective, one that may help them to shred some neutral objectives or turrets later on, but giving up so much in response. Now a 4,000 lead on the back of that first turret and those 3 kills.
Yeah, so the fact that it's now 12-3 and we see this gold lead balloon up to 4k, it's a lot better of a position for the side of Clyde Claymores. It's a lot it's ballooned a lot quicker than we expected, as it was only just a moment ago we were talking about that they weren't turning these kills into enough objectives. They weren't snowballing the gold lead quick enough. But now we need to see that after that first tower has gone, utilizing the Ziggs effectively, moving him around the map with the Sivir to help break down these towers quickly. Otherwise, you're just ignoring a major part of Ziggs' kit that makes him so effective.
I'm trying to sort of jog my memory to how many of the summon names I recognize from the grand final against the Portsmouth Pirates back all those those months ago at Insomnia 64. Regan for certain I know was, but I don't recognise the others. Let's see whether that lack of experience might hurt the London Lionhearts coming into this fight. Cataclysm was used by Jarvan, but unfortunately for him, the man who gives no fox gets yet another kill, and Sivir is slowly getting fed. We are going to see Morkan shut down by the ADC of the London Lionhearts. Now a nice route onto Galagnar could put him in damage as well. The pilled over Peacemaker goes narrowly wide of Galagnar's head, and despite the ignite, it's just going to be the 1-for-1.
And Morkan pushing himself a little bit too far there onto the Caitlyn, ends up giving over a shutdown, a fairly large one at that, so the Caitlyn has a little bit of a window back into the game. They aren't too far gold down to be completely out of it, but she is in her mid-game power trough. They need a lot more to get her out of it, and this tower is what they need. They need their first couple towers of the game. They need the ability to set her up alone in the mid lane without being flanked, because if they try and put her mid right now with the towers falling, they're just going to be collapsed on so consistently by a Sylas, by a Kled, who are going to be able to dive them, that they just need to place them in the side lanes where they are safer.
Sin, what will it take to get Caitlyn out of that trough? Will it take two static items, or
it could be the double energizer items definitely help, but what we really need to see more than anything is just the towers go down so she can sit mid and farm.
Meanwhile, Herald is still on the rift for around about 40 more seconds. Let's see whether either team pays any attention to that, or if it's just going to be the continued push. Of course, one thing in terms of getting towers down that definitely plays into Claymore's favour is they have got this demolish ability from Galagnar's Ziggs.
Yeah, they've not really been utilising it very well so far, I have to say. He has been just stuck mid for most of the game. He has roamed into the river for a couple fights, but they haven't really seen him utilise it to siege up, and something that will help them siege, however, is that Rift Herald.
Yeah, 30 seconds left until Shirley disappears into Abyss. In fact, even less than that because of the cooldown time, but with 4 members of the Claymore surrounding
15 seconds.
our Herald, it is unfortunately going to fall, or fortunately if you're the Claymores, because they're able to pick up the eye, and they're going to be able to take that straight into the mid lane, but they may find a fight waiting for them. A nice catch on Sporkin is going to get precision, yet another kill. Now we do see that super mega Inferno bomb going straight onto Lox, forcing her away from the fight. Galagnar now on a rampage. Hawkmoth managed to pick up a kill onto the opposition top lane. He gets dismounted. He takes shots from True Rambo, who's looking for headshot after headshot after headshot, but not quite able to kill off the Kled, who is going to walk himself away. At the end of that fight, 1 death for the Clyde Claymores, but once again, 2 deaths for the London Lionhearts. Now here comes the Herald in the mid lane, charging down and going to secure the the second outer turret for the Clyde Claymores.
And that fight really showed the difference between what a Camille provides in fights and what a Kled provides in fights. He gets so much more tanky and still provides a ton of damage. He's an engaged threat for the team, and he transitions far better into that phase of the game. Precision, they need him to have a long lane to exist in. We need to see these outer towers go down in the side lanes. Otherwise, London, they're just going to keep on having the game dictated to them rather than them being able to make plays of their own.
I'm really, really scared for the Lionhearts at this point, because you talked about their ability through Jarvan, through Camille, for them to be able to get onto the target, specifically onto Sivir, onto Ziggs. But the problem is if they don't get onto both of them, delete them, there's so much damage. That's a Luden's Echo, needlessly large rod Ziggs that is 405.
He's going straight death cap.
That's a 505 Sivir who's already got a completed item and building towards what looks to be an Infinity Edge.
Yeah.
I'm scared that this is already beyond the point of no return for the Lionhearts in team fights.
Well, in a team fight, they can still find it, but they need to find a near-perfect engage. They can't let a single ultimate slip. Everything has to land on top of each other, and communication has to be near-perfect. If they have that ability to force a fight on their terms where they get vision control, like this dragon, this is how they do it.
I don't get this. Is the 3rd time this game they've started the Dragon. They've managed to see it stolen away from them as Morkan goes in with the absolutely godly plays. He goes golden, trying to stay alive, flashing himself away from the damage of Caitlyn. Jarvan does rain the Cataclysm down, does manage to pick up the kill to Morkan, but only in exchange for his own life. Meanwhile, however, Lux does manage to get such a huge shutdown onto the Sivir. The fight is continuing. Galagnar putting down as much damage into the pit as he can. Lovesick and Precision doing absolutely all that they can, dashing forward, but the double clivel with the single bomb. Galagnar is absolutely godlike. There's going to be no remount this time. Skarl was not around, and Kled is dead.
And for once, starting the Ocean Dragon is the correct decision here.
Even though they
needed to start a fight on their terms. They needed to start a fight where they had control of the area already to use their ultimates effectively. That's what we saw there. Everybody on the side of Clyde committed to entering the Dragon Pit. One by one, they got picked off for it. It was the ability of London to get them to collapse all around this 1-by-1 lineup of Clyde Claymores that gave them the kills. Even though the fight was fairly close, they got the gold they needed onto the carries they needed it on.
Sin, I don't know why I ever doubt you. You were saying this is the fight they needed. I'm looking at it going, no, the London Lionhearts are just repeating their previous mistakes. Twice they've started off the Dragon. Twice they've, they've lost out in the fights afterwards. But this time, you're completely correct. They come off slightly better for it. They don't secure the Dragon, but they get some key kills, get some massive shutdowns. Now the only shutdown bounty remains is on that now 606 Ziggs. As Galignar, who can kill 2 people with 1 bomb.
Galignar pretty strong right now with all the same, but this is why they needed to fight when they did. It was just before Clyde were about to hit their second item spikes on the Sivir and on the Ziggs. After those fights, Sivir went back and bought Infinity Edge, and Ziggs went back and bought the Death Cap. If you fought any later than that, you were going to get one shot. Because they fight there, while their team still has 1.5 items to 1.5 items, they utilize that effectively to force a fight on their terms, land the ultimates that they needed, and get gold where they needed it. So the fact that they gave up an Ocean Dragon for it is nothing compared to the tempo advantage and the ability to get them back even a little bit closer into this game.
Oh, we've got ourselves a bit of a catch here as Afande is finding himself having to run away, flashing away from the final spark. Headshots are coming in from True Rambo, looking for as many headshots as possible, getting closer towards a more damaging build. Speaking of damage, there's a lot of it being built from both teams. One thing that concerns from the Lionheart is the complete and utter absence of defensive items. The closest thing they have to a completed defensive item is a Black Cleaver on the Jarvan.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see the Jarvan have to go tank, but oh!
Pop Blossom onto Morkant. He uses the Zhonya's. There's going to be a teleport jumping straight on top of him. However, Precision managing to find his target, throwing down the Hextech Ultimatum. That's going to be 2 members falling for the Clyde Claymores. Now the charge is going to be cancelled out because look at Precision. He wants everybody and he's going to get them as well. Giving away a kill straight onto True Rambo, who gets that shut down onto Galignar. Moth's charge arrives too little, too late. He's looking for kills. He's not going to get it. And the London Lionhearts just flipped this game on their head. They are running to Baron.
And another fight that they needed on their terms in their jungle, where they are the ones who get to commit. They are the ones who get to layer these ultimates on top of each other. And London, they are catching Clyde slipping. They're trying to force these advantages too hard, and Hawkmoth just arrived far too late to the party to impact it. London now have their window back into the game. They have their first gold lead since very early on, and now London, they have the ability to snowball if they can get these towers, like we talked about. Get the outer towers top and bot, so you can stick Camille in a long lane, throw Caitlyn mid where she's able to free farm without just being collapsed on consistently, and there you have a game plan. There you have a win condition of the split pushing Camille, who's using her advantages to get to team fights before Kled, who has to blow his TP or has to blow his ult just to survive.
Who needs defensive items when you can wipe out the opposition like that? Beautiful catch coming in as Afande tried to find his way through the red side jungle, and forget about what that kill score says. Right now the gold lead is well and truly in favour of the Lionhearts. They find themselves a 1k lead, they've got Baron on 5, and now they can start to siege.
Exactly, you can even see that Caitlyn having gone for what it looks like the Elixir of Wrath here, just to get some bonus AD.
Why not?
She's got the full item slots completed, but instead of selling the Dorans to get a component, buys straight up the Elixir of Wrath. This is a ballsy play, but at the same time, giving her this lifesteal spike very early on can be useful in these sieging setups. So she gets to sit mid while they're utilizing this Camille, like we said, as a split pusher who's consistently got the advantage over Kled.
Precision has really been dominating Hawkmoth in so many situations today and is looking to get a solo kill underneath the turret. Will he be able to live is the question. For now, the answer is yes, but Morkant is looking for a kill. This is going to be Nico coming in with the TP. Morkant trying to catch down Precision, managing it, getting caught out by the Pop Blossom, and in the end it's a 2-for-1 in favour of the London Lionhearts. One of their buffs is lost, however 2 members of the Clyde Claymores will not be around to continue a defence.
And Nico now has the split push onto this top lane tower. She has the advantage to be able to get that tower very quickly, and in the meantime, London is utilising the advantage they have mid to rotate into the bottom side where there's a wave there waiting for them, and the dragon.
And key to that, it's an Infernal Dragon. That one secured there by the smite of Lovesick at the exact same moment that Nico secured the Lionheart's first turret of the game.
Yeah, but RNGesus not smiling upon Clyde Claymores this day as they pick up 2 Oceans, and London, they pick up the Infernal and the Mountain, but Clyde, they're trying to force something here. The fact that the overcommittal has come into bot lane, they're trying to punish by getting a mid lane tower in response. They know the Ziggs, with his satchel charge, can get them it very quickly and give them the ability to reset on a quicker timer than the side of London Lionheart. So Clyde trying to get anything they can, and they still have a massive tower lead, but with these outer towers down now, with the outer towers in top and bot down, the game plan is clear. Like we said, split push Camille, and then the 4 members mid, they can't be engaged on because you have the Nico, you have the Lux, and they have such a massive range that they get to push you in and shove into this tower consistently.
That's exactly what the Lionhearts are looking to do right now. The final
Siege
spark
comp.
is enough, and this is going to be Regan getting such a crucial kill. Now we've got ourselves the fight breaking out. 2 members of the Clyde Claimers already dropping down, one of them having gone golden. Morkan trying to stay alive, not going to be able to because that's a double kill for Regan, the finalist from Insomnia 64, looking to try and get close to Insomnia 65. We're going to see Lovesick using his Guardian Angel to stay alive. An ace comes through for the London Lionhearts, and it is a clean ace. They have all 5 members. They have the Baron buff. They are running it straight down the mid lane. They've taken Inhibitor turret. They've taken Inhibitor. Only 2 Nexus turrets still stand, and there is no chance for the Clyde Claymores to defend.
Yeah,
the death timers are too long, and game 1 in this best of 3 series, and a fantastic comeback will go to the London Lionhearts.
And even just for a moment, we started to doubt if it was possible, but London, they found the fights where they needed them. They found the fights at the exact moments they needed them. At the Ocean Dragon and in their own jungle, where they got the collapses, they layered those ultimates effectively, and we said, if they get that outnumbered situation where they layer all those circles on top of each other, they create the Venn diagram, whoever's in the center of those circles is going down. That's exactly what happened in Clyde. You gotta say they threw that game.
Yeah. Yes, to be fair, that is true, but full credit where it is due. The London Lionhearts took the small opportunities that they still had and they made them work. It was in this very, very seat, possibly, there are a lot of seats around here, but in one of these seats, at this time, last split, I made the exact same comment about one of our other games. This game looks as good as done. And for the second time in succession, I have been taught to shut my mouth and pay respect to these teams because the Lionhearts shut me up in style.
Yeah, the Lionhearts, they utilized their composition effectively in the moment they were able to set up that siege comp mid with the Nico route, with the Lux, with the engage of a Jarvan, with the collapse of the Camille from the side lane, which we saw. Everything came together and you saw exactly why they drafted these champions. They just needed the opportunity to get to that situation, and once it was handed to them, you have to say on a bit of a silver platter, they took it and run with it and showed why you can't disrespect a sieging composition.
Yeah, it was a bit of a Clyde Claymore's Dignitas moment there. They were winning until they lost.
They're winning until they threw at Baron. That's the full Dignitas situation.
It was full Dignitas.
We'll have to see if Dignitas with Clutch Gaming now is still going to have the throwing at Baron meme, because I hope that continues. I hope the ghost of Kiwi Kid still haunts them.
And who was the other one? It was Crumbs, wasn't it? Was it
Crumbs.
Crumbs and Cutie Pie.
And Crumbs is now on the analyst desk as well, so it's going to be even better.
But looking at our team who we're comparing to Dignitas right now, the Claymores, credit where it's due to the Lionhearts, but there was absolutely an element to throw in that from the Claymores. What do they need to do now to settle themselves? You know, for yourself as a coach, what would you be saying to your players so that they come into game 2 not completely and utterly tilted off the face of the earth?
I mean, I have to come in and say that Morkant was getting far too hypey in those games, and that he just needs to chill out, calm it down, and be able to utilize the fact that he was a Sylas, he had a lot of safety, but he overcommitted consistently. Just rein it in a bit. Once you get those leads that they know they're capable of getting, they just need to slow it down and play the game up methodically. They overforced and got punished for it. Slow it down, calm it down, and they can still take this.
They certainly can. They'll have the opportunity to, but they will have to win both of the next 2 games. If they do that, then they book themselves a place in the semi-finals next week. They find themselves only 1 step away from the grand final at Insomnia 65. However, if they lose either of the next 2 games, it will be the London Lionhearts who are 1 step closer to their 2nd consecutive final. Right now, based on the performances we've just seen, on the potential tilt that's there, from the fact that actually the draft went in favour of the Claymores, but the game went to the Lionhearts, who are you favouring?
The draft was very close, but all the same, I think that Clyde, the execution just wasn't there in the mid to late game because they got too hypey, because they thought their lead was insurmountable. They ended up getting punished hard for it, and I don't predict that to happen again. I think Clyde can still turn this around, but not to disrespect the London Lionhearts. I think they played very well towards the end of that game, but I do still predict this is going to be a Clyde 2-1.
Wow. Well, I have to say that that's bold words when you find yourself match point down. However, we've seen plenty of teams here at Long Arena Clash find themselves match point down and turning things around very, very nicely.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see how it comes into the second game now, because I want to see what's changed in draft. There was the issue of the fact that they were conceding bot lane and top lane simultaneously. So the Camille was winning out on the top side of the matchup into the Kled. The Kled just basically had to sack lane and play for fights. The Sivir and the Braum were losing lane. They had to sack lane and play for fights. It was only the Ziggs that was consistently winning out. So they need to be able to have a bit more early game pressure, a bit more of an advantage in one of these solo lanes perhaps. But even if they can get both of the solo lanes ahead, that's ideally what you want. But you have to commit more into that top side to get an advantage, or that bot side. Instead, he was playing so heavily around mid. And Ziggs was developing his own advantages anyway that I feel they need to acknowledge where they need to put their pressure.
Kled into Camille isn't a matchup I can honestly say I'd really seen much of myself before today, and seeing both those champs go fairly even. Most of the trades went 1-for-1s, and their kill scores, their kill scores right up to the end of the game were dead, dead level in terms of the kills that they had, not necessarily the deaths. I think there were 5 apiece going into the last couple of fights. However, Camille every single time just went step up, boom, 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 Skull's gone, and then just that bullying continued seemingly all game long.
That was because of the early game trades and how they went in Camille's favor, because the way the matchup works is Camille has the ability to engage and disengage very effectively because of the E. She can walk up, W in, and be able to get a quick trade that way, and then back away until she wants to use her E cooldown. Kled has to stay in combat because of the way his strikes work on his W. Because of the way that his remount system works, he has to stay in combat for extended periods and doesn't want to stop fighting once he starts. Because Camille can just disengage, because Camille can just back off, she can get the advantages through that. And that's what we saw happen throughout the game, where the Camille developed those advantages early to the point where when she got to those mid to late game fights, she could just run him down.
One of the things that always disappoints me slightly with the fact that we have to use Pro Draft for these pick and ban phases, the fact that we don't get the opportunity to see what is picked.
Yeah,
into
which
what.
one was a counter pick.
Exactly. And it feels to me, and I could well be wrong, and perhaps someone on Twitter or in Twitch chat will be able to let me know, it felt very much like the Kled was picked first, and then on the other side Precision just went, okay, I can do this. I could easily be wrong because we don't have that information, but the way the game played out, Precision just seemed to have the Kled's number all the time.
I think the Camille definitely fit the style of comp that they were going for. Like we said, it was a sieging comp, and with a sieging comp, what you need for a side laner is somebody who's going to build an advantage and then collapse through the enemy jungle to dive the tower if they are stepping up too far. Camille fits that to a T. She is the #1 champion at doing that, Kled being #2. So it's interesting to see how they utilized her in that way, just to go over the top of the Kleds and then get to those fights quicker.
All right, well, we'll be jumping into Game 2's pick and bans just as quickly as we can. We've talked a lot about Insomnia 65, so just a small reminder of what's at stake and who the people are who are able to help bring you this fantastic Belong Arena Clash. A huge thank you to the folks over at Rig. Plantronics, their headsets are absolutely top notch, and they have been kind enough to be one of our sponsors, one of the big things that have kept the Belong Arena Clash going so smoothly, that allow us to be here in this wonderful studio to bring you all of these games and more. And there it is, up there. They're great folks, and go check out their headsets if you're looking to invest in a real quality headset for yourself. Also, I talk about some of the things that are coming up outside of Insomnia. We've also got a Fortnite competition that's coming up. We've got Crash
with
Team,
limited spaces
for the Fortnite competition. The Crash Team Racing Cup that's going on as well, and I believe there's a FIFA one as well.
Yeah.
All fantastic activities, and if you have any interest in those, check out the website for Belong, or pop into your nearest game and you can find out all about those events that are going on in a Belong Arena Clash near you. Belong Arena near you.
And so, getting back into this series, however, the fact that Clyde is 0-1 down is a bit surprising to some people. This is a matchup that some people were thinking Clyde was going to stomp easily, but coming into this, I expected this to be a fairly close one, more so than other people. I think Clyde, this is their biggest challenge in the top side of the bracket, even though the Humber Hunters do look like a decently strong team. They got the Stratford roster as well, they're still strong, but I think the London roster is the one to be more afraid of right now. I think the London roster is one that's ramping up throughout the split, and I'm hoping that this is kind of a resurgence for them, because if they can take down Clyde here, they're making a strong case for them to make it all the way to the finals.
They certainly will, and they are a team who, Even if it's I could be wrong, but I think it's only one of the 5 players here for the London Lionhearts who were at that last final. But even that,
And
having that experience,
one
is
of
good.
the Clyde players who won that final for Clyde as well.
two splits ago, yeah.
Yeah, Terrakio, who actually has been with the roster for a while. That whole roster has played together, had played together for a long time. They all moved into playing the Arena Clash together, so it was a nice little story. And now Terrakio is still playing for them. Morkant having joined as well, and a couple other players having joined the roster. It's changed up a bit, but they're still performing to a fairly high level. We're still
certainly
excited
are.
to see what they can do.
Yep, definitely. So either way,
But
we
I gotta
do know
say, I
that
do miss Arup. my Nunu Zach boy. He was great. Like he drew Nunu bans every game, and I remember messaging him about it once, just like, why does everybody ban Nunu against you? I know you play it a lot, but like he's like, I don't know why anybody bans it against me. I do not want to play it in competitive. I just have it played a lot in solo queue because I find it fun in solo queue.
fair enough.
He drew like 3 bans, Nunu, Scott, and Zach, fairly consistently.
If you can find fun playing Nunu, then I say kudos.
This is
to you.
old Nunu as
I
well.
Personally,
Yeah.
wow, that's even less fun.
Yeah, it's
You don't even get a
old
giant
Nunu.
snowball.
Old Nunu as a champion was just make the enemy jungler as useless as you are. That's all he was as a champion. You give it so they have no resources, and then you just run somebody down with snowballs. That was it. That was all he was as a champion.
Had possibly the worst ult in the game as well, with the absolute zero. It's like it had terrible scaling. It didn't really have that much effect, and base damage. It was.
Hey, it's all about
pretty damn
teleporting
awful.
the Rise with him, so you get fully charged, full AP Nunu ult.
I would argue that Udyr's ult was better than Nunu's.
I would disagree with you completely. I think Nunu's ult was very fun because the amount of brush cheese that you saw, like the amount of clips you see of somebody walking out towards a brush going,
then
why am I slowed? And then just gone, dead, died. That is it.
But that relied on either it being a full AP Nunu or someone else in the brush with him.
Yeah, but like, why wouldn't you play full AP Nunu? That's the fun way to play it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like about Nunu, which is surprisingly difficult to say, is some of the changes to the skins.
Right.
I'm a big fan now of I forget the exact name, the robot Nunu, the
Yeti bot.
Yeti bot. That's not the
Ha, ha,
actual.
ha, 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 ha,
Yeah,
ha.
exactly. Hate the laugh. But,
Nunu,
but love
Nunu
love
and
what the skin
Yeti
look-
bot, I believe, is the name.
Love what the skin looks like, but Nunu, and part of the reason I'm so biased towards Nunu, and actually, slight towards Riot as well, is they've ruined one of my favourite skins in the entire game.
Which one was that?
That was Grungy Nunu. Because you used to get to run around as the Cookie Monster with Oscar the Grouch in the trash can on the back. And I know there are all sorts of copyright issues, and I know they had to change it, but basically you're there kind of running down. And this is the only reason I
playing
played
as
Nunu.
the Cookie Monster was the best thing when you go and chomp everybody's jungle camps. It
Yeah.
was so great. But at the same time, didn't they make him a Where the Wild Things Are sort of rip-off now instead?
Yeah, which is fine, but it's not as much a part of my childhood as Sesame Street.
Hey,
Personally, I'm all like,
They're
cookie,
appealing
cookie,
to new
cookie,
kids' childhoods
Cookie, start
now.
with C. Cookie, cookie, cookie. That's the one for me. Cookie, cookie, cookie. Anyway, you know I'm right there, Sin.
Now you've got production singing it in my ear, grey heart.
So this is what happens when you have to deal with Pro Draft. It's such a wonderful thing. So anyway, moving on from my personal disappointment and anguish at having paid for a skin which I utterly loved and
Have
now
you
has
seen
been
some
ripped
the
from
new
me.
skins for Pantheon?
They look utterly amazing.
Perseus Pantheon. I am glad that is the one skin I own for Pantheon because it looks gorgeous. I love how they adapted it. So like the mirror shield from the lore of Perseus is just now straight up a stone Medusa's head shield. He's still got the trident.
Yeah,
and
no, it's fantastic.
The
And
fact that Pantheon has a face now is really interesting.
I'm interested to see in terms of when the next patch drops and if it's going to be Pantheon actually live for the Arena Clash finals.
It would be interesting. It's on the 14th, I believe he comes out.
So that means there should have been just under a 2-week gap.
But I believe
down to production.
that the finals are on Tournament Realm. I'm not 100% on that.
Yes.
So
they
yeah,
will be,
they should be on 9.14 still.
So they'll be
Or
9.15
9.15 rather,
which is
because
this patch.
9.16 is the next patch.
Unlikely to
It's
see Pantheon.
unlikely we'll see Pantheon in,
That's
in those finals. But I haven't actually had a chance to play with him on the PBE. What you end up doing is you go Spirius Shojin, and the fact that his W, the empowered W, gives 3 auto attacks immediately afterwards. So you ult in, which gives you 5 stacks of your passive. You hit your W on somebody, Shojin reduces 60% of your W's cooldown. So then you auto Q, your W is off
Back up
cooldown,
again.
and you use the full empowered W, you get 60% of the cooldown off again. It's so insane.
It sounds insane, and what else is insane is we can finally bring you into our pick and bans for game number 2. This is, of course, the most important game for both of these teams right now, because the London Lionhearts know that winning it will take them through to the semi-finals, and the Clyde Claymores know that if they win it, they will be back in with a shout. They themselves will have a match point. We're seeing that the bans are almost identical to how things started out last time round. Of course, London Lionhearts having moved now to the other side of the rift.
So the Quinoa banned away yet again. We're seeing the Thresh on the other side.
Thank you, Sin.
But I'm interested to see if we do see any of those picks from last game taken away. The Silas was very good, but it did lead to their downfall when Morkan got a bit too big for his britches and ended up going in a bit too far, getting caught out multiple times in key fights, which did cost them quite dearly.
Is it bad that in this sort of modern climate, I feel like maybe, you know, if there are hipsters out there watching Sesame Street, they would have changed the Cookie Monster into the Quinoa Monster? Quinoa, quinoa, quinoa. Quinoa starts with Q. Doesn't work as well, does it?
No, not quite.
Sharpening my feathers.
At that point, do you have to start teaching kids that it begins with QU?
Oh yeah, that's actually quite important when you think about it.
But interesting, we see the Zillion banned away yet again. We see the Caitlyn actually
that's the
banned
crucial
away.
one to
This
talk
is an
about.
interesting change. Yeah, Caitlyn starts with C. So the Caitlyn being taken away is interesting because it did give them a lot of pressure in that bot lane, and the fact that they can now go for the Sivir, or if you're playing into Sivir, you can go Xayah, but now the Xayah's banned away as well. It's leaving Sivir as such a high priority.
It is indeed, but it's certainly not what we're going to see picked up yet. But that is because we're seeing things picked in the order of where they're going to go on the rift, not
So
in
we've got
terms of the order
Aloha
of
Oi in
priority.
the top lane.
So it's going to go up against. We talked about your favourite champion, Eve, earlier on. We've got my favourite champion being played by Precision now. He's made a fan of me already. That's going to be the Shen.
You cosplayed Shen actually, didn't you?
Many, many times.
Yeah, so the Shen going into the top lane. We'll see if he uses the correct skin.
If he uses Surgeon Shen, I will ask for a refund on my Bristol Smugglers shirt and be a London Lionhearts fan for life.
I don't think anybody wants it now you've worn it, mate. But
I reckon they'll.
maybe people want
I've
it
got a
more
couple-
now you've
I've
worn
got
it.
a couple of really big fans on Twitter, you know. Big shout out to
Your
Jellyco.
wife's going to buy it off of us.
I wouldn't put money on it. What we're going to have is going to be that Alawi versus Shen, a really interesting matchup. Again, quite a skill-based matchup up in the top lane.
Okay,
And
yeah, the Ziggs versus Nico mid yet again, though, here.
Yep.
Putting faith in Galagnar's Ziggs. And the fact that he's going to be going up against
It's
this
gonna be
Nico means he
Sivir,
still should have the wave
No.
clear advantage. And no Sivir.
Wow.
No Sivir because Draven is considered a counter to Sivir. Instead, you're going to beat down the enemy bot laner. I'm interested now because I thought we were certain there.
Oh, they love playing with us. True Rambo.
True Rambo. Is he going to live up to the name of True Rambo and go
Are we going to see
hard
a left
in?
nipple?
No.
Oh!
It's the Sivir like we
Definitely not
expected,
seeing
but the
a left nipple.
Draven is the counter to Sivir because he can beat her up. She can't really do much about it. You don't care about wave clear because you're just going to run her down. If you got the Nautilus with it as well, this is a really interesting lane matchup where they need to get ahead early. But we said last game, Morkan, he didn't really know what to do with his early game focus. This game, it is clear where his early game focus needs to go, towards the Draven. Snowball the hell out of that Draven. The Alawi can win her matchup. We saw the Ziggs can win his matchup. The Draven is the focus.
Certainly is. There's a lot of potential protection, however, coming in for that Sivir. Going to have the Bard in lane with it. You're going to have a Stand United arriving at level 6 as well. Going to be tricky for the London Lionhearts to not protect that Sivir.
But this is a lot less of a cohesive comp from the London Lionhearts. Shen, a lot less of an effective split pusher, and Alawi, she's a pretty good split pusher. She
Is
can
she?
start to 1v2 pretty effectively. You get into her lane. Okay, will we see the legendary meme full AP Alawi since the AP changes? I
That's
doubt
not
it.
a thing, is it?
Okay, so you know the tentacle slam.
I do,
That counts as her passive damage. Her
Yes.
passive now has an 80% AP ratio.
Right, okay. So what you're saying is they get slowed, they get hit by it, which is less predictable now anyway, and they take crazy
Yes.
extra damage.
And you can slap a Raleigh on it as well.
So they're slowed and can't even get away from the
Yeah,
stabs.
exactly. It's
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, we're not
no,
gonna see
because
it.
that's terrible.
But I
the
would
fact
love
that
to.
the Alawi changes that came alongside that, the way they've made it so the tentacles, as you say, are much more predictable. They slam much quicker. It is a lot harder to play around than if you are fairly immobile, like a Nico and like a Shen. You can end up really struggling. And what's funny is, if you rip out the soul of a fake Nico, you don't care because the Nico still allows you to get those. Get the tentacles slamming down, you still proc your ultimate off of it. But the more important one is the interaction we rarely get to see between Alawi and Draven. The interaction you may have heard of, where if Alawi rips out someone's soul, Draven can cash in on that soul.
Is that meant to happen?
It may have been a bug fix that has been fixed since then, but for a long time,
Adoration-
the Adoration stacks for Draven
never heard
can
that
be
said before.
stacked off of an Alawi spirit. So she tears out the spirit with the E. If he kills it, which means if they get out of range, obviously it doesn't count. If he kills it, he stacks his Adoration off of it, and
It
he
feels
gets
like
the
everyone
full
should have been
cash-in.
playing Alawi support.
Yeah, it feels like maybe, but the
Full
fact that
AP Alawi support.
if you can set up the siege that the London Lionhearts did last game, where you get to just rip someone's soul out and you got a Draven right next to you,
Yeah, there's 200
free
gold.
cash in.
Brilliant.
There's 200 gold right there. Yeah, exactly. And maybe if you stacked it up enough, maybe there's 1,000 gold right there. I believe the record cash in competitive play is 1763 by Sneaky in the NALCS for C9 during the gauntlet run of 2015 summer regionals.
Wow. Well, let's see whether or not NoFoxGiving gets anywhere near to that. He may not have an opportunity to if he's cashing in on souls constantly.
They changed it so it's a lot harder to cash in because you lose 75% of your stacks on death.
Yeah.
And they made it so it doesn't stack quite as easily. Then they made it so it stacks just as easily as it used to again. And now it's somewhere in the middle.
We're seeing so many interesting opportunities coming
Yeah.
out of this game. One of the opportunities I want to raise a question on, you talked about Morkant, that he's going to have to pay attention surely towards the bot
Oh,
lane.
yeah.
He's got to get Draven going. I want to switch over and look at Lovesick on the other side. Is he going to be looking to counter jungle that, knowing that surely that's going to be Morkant's plan, or is he looking towards one of
you
the
have
other
to.
lanes that struggled?
This is going to turn into a 3v3, and it's a good 3v3 at that. The Gragas and the Bard have a lot of setup CC. The Jarvan and the Nautilus have a lot of setup CC. So this is set to be explosive. And we talked about these Ziggs and the Nico already. Whichever one of those gets to bot lane first is going to swing that dramatically. But your other option, if you're Morkant here, is to go to the source of the global. You run directly towards Precision. You shut him down so he can't use his ultimate as easily without fully losing like a whole tower. And then you go that the Draven might fall behind a little bit more than expected, but the rest of the map is winning so hard that he's at least brought into an even state.
Which makes more sense almost to me because of what you were saying before in regards to how good Alawi is
You
a split
can't leave
pusher.
him exposed. The issue is what you want to be doing that is dragging the Gragas into the top lane so the Draven can build his own advantage. What you don't want to be doing with that is going top lane consistently and having Gragas just kill your bot lane 4 times.
Alrighty, we've had, I've got to say, a lot of fun talking about the potential that's going to come out of this game. I can't wait for it to get onto the Rift so we can bring it to you. But
Let's go for some Alawi memes.
Going into game 2, who are you predicting to take this crucial game of the series?
Oh, I already said that I have to predict Clyde for the 2-1, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to change my mind now.
Are you feeling like you wish you could based on the draft?
Not really. I feel like the draft, again, is fairly even. I do feel like, once again, Clyde have a slightly better rounded composition, but the window that was needed for London to play what their composition needed to last time worked perfectly for them. It still could again.
Once again, 5 members of the Clyde Claymores looking for potential pick. Draven slightly behind the rest of his team. Still waiting to see the Shen. Still waiting to see if I'm a Lionhearts fan forever. Sivir is going to slow down. Is going to stop immediately. True Rambo putting a ward down. Is going to just get to safety. Not even necessarily having to level up that mana shield.
And so, yeah, this is what ends up happening when you're playing a Nautilus. You just end up trying to 5-man stack every single time, and everybody finds it extremely predictable. Once again, it happens. Once again, it's extremely predictable. And, oh, Sivir's already in the lead. She got 5 gold. Easy win.
That is the game right there. Let's go on to game number 3. Wait, there won't be a game number 3 if Sivir wins this one, because that'll be the London Lionhearts having taken the lead. However, they are not getting an Eternal Fan in Greyheart because Precision has not opted in to the Surgeon Shen costume, which if he had done, it just would have made me so very, very happy. Instead, I have to start waiting for Grungy Nunu to come back once more. Meanwhile, both of these teams are going to start at their red buffs, the top side of the map for the Claymores, the London Lionhearts here on the bottom half. I'm pretty sure we're going to see just a standard jungle clear and no intention of vertical jungling just so far.
But the fact that the Draven has been given control of this bot side wave so early can be crucial to that matchup, because the Sivir arrives there late, they already have control, they get a trading advantage, and can do wonders with it. But at the same time, the Shen, instead of trying to get wave control, tries to get a trading advantage. It's the exact opposite side of the matchup.
And it seemed to work out fairly well for him, but already we see Hawkmoth able to use some Hawk Math to get some of his HP back as quickly as he can. Precision losing out on any advantage he could have gained there.
Yeah, it's kind of geometry light when you're playing with the Alawi, because you're trying to work out where the tentacles are going to slam down. It's a lot easier to predict, but at the same time, it's been made that much more difficult because they are so quick. They do slam down so quickly after they spawn that it's often you just pick up so many kills with it just by pulling out somebody's spirit, letting them walk away, and they just get slapped by them.
Taunt is going to land here onto Hawkmoth. He's taken 50% of his health already as Precision just walks forward, doesn't get hit by any tentacles just yet. No Fox given, throwing the axes down. Precision taking a chunk of health, and you saw just how much those tentacles can do even in the early stages.
Yeah, they definitely heal a lot as well, with the passive causing you to heal off of the... When you get to do this, you get to heal off of the fake Shen as well.
Hawkmoth doing everything he can here, but he's having to flash away from Precision, who still has the flash available. Hawkmoth going to have to complete the recall, probably going to have to use both summoner spells just to escape with his life.
Yeah, and unfortunately, overcommitting to these early game trades where Shen does have the advantage is hurting him quite a lot. He needs to get to the point where he has like the Black Cleaver, perhaps, to be able to shred through him a little bit easier, to be able to get that CDR, because right now, he's being out-traded from the fact that he has to utilize his mana, and Shen, he just utilizes energy. Afande
managing to land a grab on towards Regan, the only one, of course, there without that spell shield, not able to get himself quite as safe as possibly True Rambo would have done. Meanwhile, CS once again becoming a bit of an issue for True Rambo as he has to take it underneath the turret, already losing out a little bit in comparison to what No Fox Given has.
And at the same time, the Draven's still utilizing that pressure he got from that first wave. And so he's rather happy to just continue building up those stacks. As Morkant's going mid.
Galagnar is stepping forward because he's got his jungler present. We're going to see Ram able to get to safety, however, again opting for that Glacial Augment on the Nico.
This time around, though, he is the one winning out the matchup early. The Ziggs having a little bit more trouble, and even though he doesn't have the TP, he went for the barrier. We're going to have to see how Ram utilizes that TP, because if he doesn't get control of mid, if he isn't winning out these fights, then perhaps you needed that combat summoner to survive it.
Well, speaking about surviving, this could be difficult for Ram. He has still got the flash available, already used the teleport to come back into the lane. He manages to land a root, trades a bit of damage back. He's still got a health advantage over Galagnar, who's also deeply missing mana, and I do believe that Ram is going to be alright staying in lane, just maybe has to be a little more cautious.
Yeah, with both summoners gone now, there's a repeat gank target, and it means that he has to play that much safer in the mid lane, so Galagnar has the ability to push in. He has that much more pressure, and then maybe we could see him utilize that pressure to get control of the bot lane river, and they can start playing towards that Draven.
As we approach 5 minutes, this game is finally balanced. There is basically no gold lead at this point. Both teams on 7.1k apiece.
Yeah, so now we see the Shen actually having a wave fully stacked up against him. Now we see the sieging potential of the Illaoi. She rips out your soul, you have to back off the minion wave, and then the tentacles start spawning around the tower. What the hell are you supposed to do now? It's gonna...
less than ideal.
How much do you have to give up before you're safe?
Precision in the last game definitely had Hawkmoth's number. So far in this game, it looks like things might be playing more in Hawkmoth's favour, purely based on the matchup that he's been able to pick into.
Yeah, and so... drawn like a moth to the flame, Precision ends up being caught out quite a lot here in terms of the damage being dealt. It's stacking up.
His soul was ripped from him. He does have flash available, starts his recall. He's not going to be able to complete, however, because we just see that tentacle slapping down, cancelling the recall. Precision so very low, gonna have to burn teleport to get back up to lane.
Yeah, and it's this sieging potential of having this huge wave stacked in front of the tower. We'll have to see how much of it he's going to lose, but potentially the experience advantage of denying Shen level 6 for this long means that she can make a play, and she can try and pin Shen down in this lane, because now if he ults away, he's going to lose a tower shard. He doesn't have that TP to get back to lane, so this is what you need to do when you're playing against the Shen. Bully him just enough to get those summons out.
Meanwhile, we've got ourselves a party in the bot lane, and really, really clever little bit of evasion coming in from the Jarvan, getting himself to safety. This is just such a tightly balanced game.
But do you see that in the inventory of Illaoi? It is a Dark Seal. She has that AP damage, and it is allowing her to do this.
It's allowing her to do whatever she wants. I love it, Sid.
AP Illaoi, boys!
Right now, Hawkmoth is loving it too. He gets the first blood in this crucial game for the Clyde Claymores.
And now we're going to see him go Magi. No, that's too much.
Insta-buy Magi's.
Insta-buy Magi's.
Screw it, let's
Solo
go.
kill the matchup every time. But no, this is what he was allowed to do because he stacked the wave up against the Shen repeatedly. He was allowed to rip his soul out, pressure him out, and the moment that ultimate became available, the moment that Shen went a little bit too far in, the soul gets ripped out, the multi-stack ultimate comes through, and that AP damage actually does a hell of a lot because it is an 80% AP ratio, and it increases the healing from that potion at the same time. It gives her so much gold efficiency for such a low amount of gold, and she still gets to build AD afterwards.
I'm looking carefully at this recall. 21 CS lead, a kill advantage, a turret plate as well, and we're going to see a Phage picked up along with a Ruby Crystal. That's a disappointing lack of Magi's.
All the same, it's still the correct build. She wants to go for that Black Cleaver. She still is very auto-attack based. And even though she does get that bonus AP damage because of the AP scaling on that passive now, this is still the correct choice. And I love the adaptation. I love what the Dark Seal provided, because you wouldn't have won that 1v1 without it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you probably would have won the 1v1, you just probably wouldn't have
got the kill. You wouldn't have got that solo kill 100%.
And that's what is currently swinging things in favour of the Clyde Claymores. As always, didn't get the opportunity to see because of Pro Draft exactly what got picked when, but it feels very much so like the Sivir will have been picked up early by London Lionhearts as it wasn't banned away. The response of the Draven, an interesting one. Currently, it is 12 CS behind the Sivir. Are you surprised to see that?
I am a little bit surprised because of the pressure they had bot lane with Gragas playing towards that bot side, and Morkant, he's just been everywhere else on the map. He's been mid multiple times, and we've not really seen him make use of the fact that he got Roam Summoners just yet. But the Draven, not really been a focus at all. He's just been sitting back, stacking up.
He and his support both have full summons available. We saw the Tempered Fate being dodged away from just a couple of moments ago. Gragas is waiting in the wings. Lovesick perhaps looking to use the explosive cast to try and pick up a kill for the London Lionhearts. Their first of the game if they were able to secure it. But right now, this is nice safe play from NoFoxGiven.
And the Bard, quite hard to engage on because he has that E to get to safety, he has the Q for disengage. Of course, he even has heals, movement speed, he has it all. And the Sivir, of course, has the spell shield to stop herself being engaged on as well. It becomes very difficult to play around if you are an engaged lane, because this is just such a safe lane. This is what we talked about, where the game's just developing more and more into safe lanes, where Sivir is becoming more and more of a bannable champion. At least if you pick Ezreal, you lose lane because he doesn't have wave clear. When you pick Sivir, she has wave clear, and you will never lose lane hard enough to really be worried about the rest of the game.
And your scale so obscenely hard that you know you're going to have damage as you get to the late game.
The 500 CS Sivir power spike. It's the legendary Reckless play, where you do nothing the entire game, but you hit that power spike and you get a pentakill.
Oh, you'd love to see it, don't you? Meanwhile, Precision is definitely not loving this matchup as much as he did in the last game. Nearly 30 CS behind now as we see an old Scuttle Crab sent to its demise. It's too soon. Too soon.
It's going to allow them to get vision control of this dragon, and the fact that they got this while the bot lane was basing means that they have to overcommit for a fight.
Lovesick coming in. We've seen a lot of interesting plays around the dragon. The teleport has already been used by Sivir, so she will be able to join as Morkant just runs the wrong way straight into danger. That's going to be Rahm picking up the London Lionhearts' first kill of this game. They're going to be able to turn their attention straight back towards the dragon. The Whirling Death goes through, does not pick up a kill. NoFoxGiven still lurking on the edge. Shen is going to be able to secure the dragon for the London Lionhearts, and one more time in this series, we see a dragon started up by one team, secured by another, who also get a kill.
But the fact that Shen used the Stand United without having TP, you're seeing what this means. How much of that top lane tower has gone for Hawkmoth. Exactly, it's so much damage towards it, so much gold into the Alawi's pocket. How do you win that 1v1 now if you're Shen 35 CS down?
Already having given up a turret, split push continuing. You could even look at a potential Australia lane situation for the Claymores as soon as that turret does finally bite the dust, which will not be long in the making.
I believe it still has 2 shards left on it, but the fact that they've got a 1 shard now, but the fact that they have so much control of this top side of the map means they can utilize Alawi's pressure to get the Rift Herald, and then utilize that to move it into the bot side, give Draven an advantage.
Well, let's see what rotations come through. Morkant so far doing a really, really good job of being pretty much ever present. Yes, things went wrong for him at that last dragon buff. However, you've got to give credit to the Claymore's jungler, because so far he has done a really, really good job of enabling his lanes.
But once again, he fought split from the rest of his team, and he was on the other side of the fight from where everybody else was. That's what caused his death.
One of your big concerns about the last game.
Exactly. This is just continuing from the fact that we saw the mistakes made on the Sylas pick, and I need those mistakes to stop being made if we're going to see Clyde take this game.
So Sivir is looking for the Australia lane's Bard already in the top lane. Meanwhile, this is allowing NoFoxGiven to get a bit of damage down onto the turret. Not quite securing the plating before Shen arrives, however. Regan and True Rambo are here to defend that tiny little bit of HP that's left.
But more importantly, the lane swap this early says they want to play around the Herald. They're moving their advantage into the top side of the map. They're moving the fact that the Sivir is the one with the wave clear pressure into the top side, and Gragas, he's already looking to start it up.
Yeah, they don't want to let you were talking about happen in terms of the Clyde Claymores being able to use that Alawi advantage to get themselves an even bigger advantage that they could then turn onto Draven. Instead, like you say, Lionhearts immediately shifting the momentum.
Yeah, That momentum shift is crucial. The fact that Claymores were slightly slow on this adaptation does mean that the Lionhearts are going to be able to rotate quicker, be able to get these gold leads, and potentially use this Rift Herald to blow open the mid lane, punish Ziggs a bit more, make that a bit more exposed so he doesn't get the shove up quite so far.
I like the rotations coming in from the Lionhearts. Also looking right now, they have got the teleport advantage. Stand United not quite back up for precision, but at least he's got a teleport,
But they're
whereas
sending
Alawi
Draven
doesn't.
bot lane. Like, everybody wants to fight on this top side.
Yeah,
We
I
are
don't get
posturing
that.
for a huge 5v5 fight
Don't
on this top
understand that
side.
at all.
And because they have no one with TP, they just send Draven instead, hoping he can pick up some tower shards, get some solo experience, try and get back into the game. But it means they can't commit to a fight, and now it is obvious to Lionhearts that they need to commit to this Rift Herald because they need to force a fight right now.
That's what the London Lionhearts did so very well in the last game. They found the fights on their own terms, and this is an opportunity for them to do the same again. They look to get towards Galgnar, but it's not quite going to happen. Grag is still hovering around the Rift Herald. Draven still doing what he can in the bot lane. Meanwhile, Hawkmoth once again finding himself a target. Nice use of the spell shield from True Rambo, able to keep himself safe for now, but the dash forward from Hawkmoth, and look at the damage that comes through every time from that Black Cleaver Alawi.
Yeah, it's stacking up. She's getting even more AD now as well, maybe building towards like that Sterix Gauge, that Frozen Mallet, to be able to run people down in the side lane even further.
Recall from Galgnar, and we are going to see the Herald being
Just have to
picked up
concede it because they were
nice
so
and
late
easy.
on the lane swap, and the fact that they don't have this double TP means they can't send somebody to the bot lane to deal with Shen. Hawkmoth doesn't
That
have
was so
TP,
easy.
and Galgnar, you got to question this barrier take right now because he didn't take that second TP on his team. Means they can't play against this 1-3-1. Means they can't deal with the Shen, and they had to commit to send the AD carry bot side so that they lose the Rift Herald.
Exactly. If they could have sent Ziggs bot to deal with the Shen, counter push, then at least they would have had Draven present. They would have had the opportunity for Ziggs to join the fight later on. Instead, they lose out so much. You're completely right in terms of analysing that, and it's led to a nice lead for the London Lionhearts. Yes, they're 1,000k behind on gold, but that could easily get evened out if the Herald is used effectively.
And this is the window for them. They were 1.6k down. Now Morgan having to force a fight.
He's gone big again, but it's going to be Galgnar who's going to be the first 2-4. Now the taunt is going to land. That's going to be Morgan going down to 2-0. Herald will surely be summoned in the mid lane in the absence of both of these meaty targets from the Clyde Claymores. This is going to be a nice, easy secure. The gold lead already having swung on the back of those 2 kills. Alawi still continuing the pressure in the top lane.
And that desperation of that play there from Morgan, that spells the game being over for me this early.
Wow.
This is, unfortunately, such a huge lead off the back of this Rift Herald, and that fight that now London Lionhearts are going to be able to play for Siege. They're going to be able to play with the Shen to split the map because they have control for the next 5, maybe 10 minutes because of this mid lane being gone. They're going to play for Baron. That Baron can be utilized so much more effectively because they have this double TP that we talked about, and I just don't see a way for Clyde Claymores to get back into this.
2 turrets and 2 kills secured, and suddenly a 1,000 gold disadvantage becomes a 1,500 gold lead. The London Lionhearts, who are 1 game away from the semi-finals of the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends Championship, looking so good in this game. Despite the early leads for Hawkmoth, it's the Lionhearts who now find themselves with a Cloud Dragon to boot.
But let's try and be realistic here, but at the same time be a bit optimistic, because Clyde Claymores, how do they get back into this game right now? And the way you got to look at it is they have this winning split pushing side lane. They have to utilize that effectively and transition it into fights. They have to blow the Shen's TP. They have to blow the Shen's ultimate and find a way for the Alawi to be there without the Shen to get a numbers advantage, because right now they're only fighting in these disadvantageous situations without their strongest and most fed member. The Draven has been split off from the rest of the map as well, so they need to find 5v5s.
It is unreal to me that that top lane outer turret still stands. It won't be there for much longer, but the fact that it is going to live past the 16th minute marker is a real sign of how much this game's accelerated for the Clyde Claymores. One thing that they must look at now is the fact that London Lionhearts were in this very position themselves in the last game, and they came back. They found the way of playing to win. Now the Claymores need to do it themselves.
I'm actually very disappointed with the way that the London Lionhearts have played this since that mid lane tower take. Their reset was very late. They lost full control of topside when they should have had a tower off the back of it. And the fact that they now don't have control of mid or their own topside jungle means that the map has reset fully. And now we can look back at the gold difference being only 400, without the tempo advantage being so huge. And now London Lionhearts don't have that insane advantage they had just a minute ago, where it seemed like their game was done if they played it correctly, because they didn't utilize their advantages correctly. They didn't move the members around the map into the top side to get another tower.
Just thinking to myself that NoFoxGiven still have the opportunity to cash in, but now it will be for 75% less gold, because he gets completely obliterated. The stopwatch uses Lovesick, tries to stay alive, gets completely caught in the wall, but then manages to make it through the barred portal to safety. A 1-0 in favour of the London Lionhearts when all hope seemed lost for Lovesick.
And now perhaps Clyde can turn this fight around. So many overcommittals.
Such a beautiful Zonius, but it's not enough to stop Gallagher.
Precision
off Ram. Precision is very, very, very low. Here comes Morkan. The Cataclysm used just to secure that kill, but it also manages to trap out the Shen. This is a
huge fight
in favour of the Clyde Claymores. They're trying to turn the game on its head. I said 3-for-1. It's a 3-for-0 on the back of that. I technically a 3-for-1 because NoFoxGiven died so very early on, but now they get
True
3
Rambo's
kills.
so low. Where's the Whirling Death?
They're going to get themselves a turret. Let's see whether or not they can get any more. They have just retaken the gold lead.
No Whirling Death going to come through, but Clyde, they do find their way back into the game. Off of the back of that tempo reset, which was so late from London, they overcommit to a play on bot side. They try and dive the tower, and even though they get the kill, they stay far too long. The collapse comes through, and even without having to blow his TP, Hawkmoth arrives into the fight, and now the most fed members there, you see the difference it's making.
Yeah, he's 2-0-2 now, and he's had 100% kill participation.
And 6
the only
stacks
person
on the
on his
Dark
team.
Seal.
He has got 6 stacks on the Dark Seal, which hopefully will soon be energized. And yeah, the difference between when he's there in the fight and when he's not, I mean, it's literally...
It's night and day, yeah.
That is the best way of describing it. NoFoxGiven, I was looking at him and going, this is maybe a way back into the game. Maybe he sneaks a kill. Maybe he's able to get that cash in off an Alawi Spirit that, like you were talking, if that's still a thing. But in the end, it was actually on the back of a dive that shut him down, that stopped him, that allowed Hawkmoth and the rest of the team to completely counter, gank, and honestly, they did it beautifully.
You know, it's ironic that the Moth is the light in the dark for the side of Clyde Claymores right now, but he is doing a great job at it, and he just needs to be able to be in the right place at the right time on the map. They need to play centric around him rather than playing towards these other lanes, because otherwise he just can't be in a fight in time compared to the Shen.
Morkan secures his red buff, but might just give it straight over to True Rambo. That is indeed the situation as we can now see it, and the gold is almost dead level. We do see a Fanbei trying to get himself out. He's surrounded by 3 members of the opposition team. He takes all of his health bar in damage. True Rambo picking up a second kill in very, very quick succession. Now 2-0-2 on the Sivir. The Sivir, which got kills and in the end wasn't impactful for the Clyde Claymores in the last game, is starting to come online now for the Lionhearts.
Suddenly now, it's once again Morkan getting caught out is the starter of the play for the London Lionhearts. And they're going to be able to get some tempo around this topside jungle, potentially set up getting in this top lane tower down, put Hawkmoth in a long lane where even if he is able to try and beat up this Shen, he doesn't have anything to fall back on. Perhaps you can see a 1v2 pulled off, where the Gragas is able to ult her away from her tentacles, and you win the fight instantly if she can't be there.
Oh, Galagnar does find 2 at the bomb, but it also finds a belly slap to the face.
That barrier is a great choice. It really saved his life there. For the first time he's used it this game, that really saved his life.
It's harsh,
such a useful
fair,
summoner.
Unfortunately, on this particular instance. But this is a really, really nice turnaround as a Fanbei manages to find the Dredge line. He forces the Stand United, and the Tempered Fate is perfectly going to get 2 stunned up. And now here come the rest of the crew. True Rambo, who already found himself 2 kills, will find a 3rd. Now he looks to try and get damage onto Morkan. He throws the Cataclysm in. Precision manages to take down Morkan, but not before Fanbei finishes off the Sivir. We are going to see a Fanbei drop as well, and that's another 4 kills for the London Lionhearts. They now have a 10-5 kill lead. The Baron has already spawned. Will they turn their attention towards it? Without True Rambo's damage, possibly, that will not be their biggest interest.
And with this control over the mid lane here, they have the ability to just set up and get a bit of chip damage down, but the fact that it dragged Hawkmoth away from the side lane is one of the most notable things here. Because if he can't win out the side lane and he's not in team fights, this is a devastating situation for Clyde where they have no point of advantage on the map. They have no point of pressure anymore. They just have to pray that they can catch Lionheart slipping.
You went for Galagnar's jugular a minute ago, but I'd like to turn attention to his jungler, which is Morkan. We've called him out a few times, and I feel a little bit bad for it. You know, the number of times he's been caught out, and it's been a big part of the London Lionhearts getting the lead. One thing I like about this Jarvan that we didn't see from the Lionheart's Jarvan in the last game is the fact he's gone for the Cinderhulk. He is staying that little bit tankier, and as the game progresses, he's going to be able to dive in and make those plays, perhaps even get slightly caught out, survive long enough for his team to possibly be able to do something about it.
It's ironic because of the lack of damage you have from ADC here. It's actually better to have gone a Warrior's Enchantment this time around, because unfortunately, NoFoxGiven just isn't a champion. He's dying far too quickly at the start of fights because they picked Draven and they weren't willing to commit any resources to getting him an advantage. He's down 55 CS. He didn't pick up those towers and he didn't cash in because he's died twice, losing 75% of the stacks. He has nothing in terms of economy, and he has to pray that they let him stack up. Look, he's down 3,000 gold.
That is slightly painful to see, and for the Clyde Claymores, it must mean that their hopes of getting themselves to a second final in 3 splits is almost dashed.
And what we just saw there, if we go back to the gold lead for just a second, is the fact that the Shen in the top side of the map has a 3k gold deficit as well. But the Shen, he's a champion that is entirely utility. He can play with a 3k deficit. He just needs the shield. He needs to land the taunt. He has the CC. Draven's a DPS champion. He can't play from that far behind.
Hawkmoth does not have teleport available. He's consistently pushing in the bot lane, and this is going to lead to London Lionheart starting off the Baron. We do know the Clyde Claymores know all about this, and through a Bard portal, it's going to be engaged. Coming through to the London Lionhearts. It's the go trigger pressed by the Sivir. It's going to be Morgan going in. Gallignar managing to take down Lovesick, but no Fox already dead. But you said he's not a champion, so that doesn't count. Tempered Fate is going to catch onto Morgan and onto Gallignar. It's going to be a Fande trying to eat up as much of the damage as they can. So low is this Bard as he tries to run away from his support or combat nemesis, the Nautilus. A really incredibly close fight. The Baron is not secured by the London Lionhearts. Clyde Claymores get the turret in the bot lane, and now they can continue turning their attention towards the Lionhearts, who are running with their tails between their legs.
And Clyde, they have to be really happy for that fight. They traded a kill only for a cannon minion and were able to get the tower on the backside of it as well.
Yep, and now we've got ourselves, an inhibitor turret being pushed down towards by the Alawi, who's got a real opening into the game. We'll have the teleport up fairly shortly. Bit of damage down from the Claymores onto the outer turret that's lying here in the mid lane as well. That went about as well as you could expect for a team that found themselves as behind as they were.
Yeah, it's amazing to look at because we've been talking about massive deficits and massive leads, but the gold is so close, and it's because of that difference between the AD carry and the top laner. Hawkmoth is so insanely far ahead, and NoFoxGiven is so insanely far behind. It evens out.
But this is the one thing that surprised me about that fight. Hawkmoth was not in the fight, and yet it was still almost turned around by the Claymores.
Because of the disengage potential of Gallignar plus Fande. They were able to use the ultimate and the satchel on top of the minefield from the Ziggs to just be able to zone them away. If they walk through, they were going to get chunked out. Ziggs still has a decent amount of damage. He is a relevant champion this game. He's not just a cannon minion.
Okay, but the question is, how much will it take for NoFoxGiven to become a relevant champion in this game at this point?
A lot. It will take him getting 2 or 3 kills in a fight, unfortunately, because he needs the extra gold from the kills. And it just looks so unlikely at this point. As you see, he's still 3k down, and it's only getting worse.
Shen is now split pushing up in the top lane. Does not have the teleport, but does have the Stand United. Teleported up in about 10 seconds time for Hawkmoth. Morkan running himself away from Reagan, who has just been doing such a phenomenal job on the Bard. He is 2-0-7 in this game. This
is funny now because they can actually afford to send True Rambo to the bot side to wave clear against Hawkmoth because he went TP as well. Okay, they have triple TP into the single TP. Clyde Claymores are just being spread far too thin. They don't have the resources to commit to every area of the map, and so they're losing all these areas of vision. They're losing all these areas of pressure, and the Alawi, she's just happy to push in repeatedly knowing that the Sivir's off the map for a bit, but she's not going to be so happy when Sivir leaves to go start a team fight, and all Alawi can do is beat away at a tower as her team gets aced.
Let's see whether or not Hawkmoth is able to continue this push, because that is what it's coming down to at the moment. Once again, vision being secured by the Lionhearts. This time they managed to get themselves a bit of a cash, and the nice glacial from Ram is going to mean that the jungler is no longer present for the London Lionhearts. This will mean that trying to secure that Baron is that little bit easier for the Lionhearts. They've still got True Rambo doing what he can here, but now he's finding the leap of faith being used by Hawkmoth. He tries to go in, he tries to use the ultimate, but he loses most of his health. He's not being able to regen regen it, and True Rambo flashes forward, gets the kill onto the most fed member of the Clyde Claymores, and the remaining 4 members of the London Lionhearts are looking towards the Baron. This is going to be
TP
a
flank from
really,
the Silver.
really crucial fight. It's going to be a Vande trying to step away. He uses his route, but he gets completely caught out, and another kill comes in, this time for Precision, as he helps out the rest of his team. Still, the Baron not secured by the Lionhearts, but they get 3 kills.
It's a legendary flanking AD carry not seen since the days of 5 attack speed Cogmore, but it pays off, and True Rambo is able to help them clean up those kills. And now they're going to start this Baron, but Morkan, he can potentially get here in time because they weren't willing to commit to it. Now he has the ability to try and steal this, and stealing this would give Hawkmoth the ability to split push.
There are so many low health bars as well. Morkan throws in. Oh, that's going to be the Mega Inferno bomb, getting even lower health bars, and a double kill with 1 whirling death. That's the game changer. Clyde Claymores take down not only the jungler, but the ADC of the London Lionhearts. They teleport straight towards the Baron. They started up for themselves. We saw the throw from the Claymores in the last game. Is this the game changer now? The Lionhearts lose 2 key members. The Claymores are about to secure a 5-man Baron buff.
This could potentially be a massive game changer, as NoFoxGiven also picks up those 2 kills for himself. The AD carry, who was so far behind, now gets not only the gold from a Baron buff, but 2 shutdown kills.
How has this just happened? What?
They overcommitted to the fight when the Baron was on less than 1,000 health. They knew the enemy jungler wasn't there. They didn't need to send all the members to start that fight. They just needed to finish the Baron and then commit. And then even just commit to the kills there, because there's nobody on the map just yet, only the Draven and the Jarvan. But because they reset from that fight back towards the Baron, their health bars were already so low that it gave the window for the Mega Inferno bomb, the Whirling Death, and Morkan to clean that up.
Oh, speaking of Morkan, he's caught out again. He used his stopwatch to buy himself a little bit of time, but he's going to lose 1 of those Baron buffs. And now we're going to see Tempered Fate catching on to Galagnar. This is going to be 2 kills in quick succession for the London Lionhearts. Nice use of the flash from Galagnar. He's got the satchel charge, but it doesn't quite knock him over the wall. That's going to be barred with his portals, making sure that Galagnar is no longer for this world. True Rambo with the stopwatch able to stay safe. But meanwhile, Hawkmoth with a Baron buff is going to take an inhibitor turret. The question is, what will be lost while this push goes on? Continuing the push, Hawkmoth is going to look for the inhibitor itself. The push is continuing also from True Rambo and from Lovesick in the mid lane as he looks to try and get himself an inhibitor turret in return. But this inhibitor is going to be gone before the inhibitor turret, and Hawkmoth isn't stopping.
He still keeps pushing this in. He wants to drag as many members away from mid lane as possible, and it means that they just have to walk up and try and cancel these resets, force them further and further back, and it just means that they get the tempo control again back onto the map. Clyde Claymores, they make the best of a bad situation, and somehow, with a single TP against 3, this Baron buff allows them to get control.
Illaoi there with the Baron buff doing incredible things. If that previous sequence of events where the Baron got taken by the Claymores hadn't happened, that would have been no chance the Lionhearts lose themselves an inhibitor turret. Instead, on the back of those kills, they probably would have got one for themselves. Instead, a complete flip.
But this isn't just a Flame Horizon from a Hawkmoth. This isn't your regular Flame Horizon. This is advanced Flame Horizon.
312 CS plays 160.
If you compare that to, say, you know, the Draven, the AD carry, the person that you want to put all your gold onto, or your wave clear mid laner who wants to spam wave clear, having 100 more CS than both of them, this Illaoi is hyper fed. No one in the game can 1v1 her.
But this takes us right back into Champ Select. We actually talked about this exact possibility. You said you wanted to see the Draven getting snowballed. You said there's a very real possibility that Morkan goes more towards Hawkmoth. That was the option you went for. That's the...
It wasn't even him, though.
Well,
Hawkmoth built this advantage on his own, off of his own back. You got to give the man credit.
But this is the basket that the Clyde Claymores have decided to put their eggs in at this point in this game, and it's working out.
1v3.
Right now, Hawkmoth is in a 1v4. He throws down Leap of Faith, gets caught out by the Pop Blossom, and that is going to be a nice, easy secure of that kill. There's not going to be enough time, I don't think, for the Claymores to push towards its inhibitor turret.
But the fact that they were able to get a tower in trade for the life of their top laner isn't too bad at this point, but NoFoxGiven now caught out.
Yeah, this is going to be Draven falling very, very quickly on the back of this one. And now
huge
we're see a nice use of that ultimate from the Gragas. He's used the explosive cap. He pulls Galagnar back. A double kill going over to True Rambo.
This could be the game.
Morkan is really struggling to get himself out of dodge as well. He's looking for a recall, but Bard is chasing him down. Meanwhile, speaking of getting chased down, Afande trying to get himself a dredge line to safety, consistently taking damage, consistently taking slows, and True Rambo just picks up yet another free kill. And suddenly the London Lionhearts are within touching distance of the semi-finals here at Belong Arena Clash. They take down the inhibitor turret. They take down the inhibitor. Like you say, 20-second death timers, 10 seconds on Hawkmoth. He could be the final potential salvation. He is going to see his jungler go in first of all, getting the Cataclysm, getting the kill on the opposition jungler. However, that is going to be True Rambo still going in. Hawkmoth has got the leap of faith. He's got the ultimate. He flashes in. He tries to get the damage down. He doesn't quite manage to take down Ram before the Pop Blossom. She flashes to safety, and that's going to be the 4 members of the London Lionhearts running away. The Clyde Claymores almost lost the game at that exact moment, but thanks to the once more heroics of Hawkmoth, they stay alive to fight another day.
And truly a leap of faith into the enemy backline saves the team. It's going to be Hawkmoth putting the entire team on his shoulders, carrying them through as Clyde. They are not done just yet.
One Nexus turret is gone for the Clyde Claymores, but they're getting damage onto Nexus turrets right now, and Precision is trying to clear 2 super minions off of his own Nexus turret. This game is still so finely balanced. It's a 3,000 gold lead for the Lionhearts, but at this point it barely matters.
I gotta say, when I said this game was over, I did not see Hawkmoth being able to get 330 CS to the 172 of his opponent and solo carry his team back into this game. This has been so close, and you can't put that on anyone else other than his shoulders.
After this game, we're going to be bringing you the battle of the sides, Tyneside versus Lakeside. And one thing is for certain, Sin, I don't think either of us are ever going to say one of those games is over until it's done.
I'll try. I'm gonna make that prediction, but all the same, it's just this game should have been done far earlier. London had such a huge tempo advantage. They had the ability to get 2 or 3 towers in quick succession and just balloon that gold lead. But one mistake was all it took to turn that on its heads, and London, they threw it away at that moment. It could have been over so quickly. However, they've held on to an advantage. They've not given NoFox a full window back into this game just yet.
Is he a champion
again?
yet?
So far behind, and not quite, you have to say. He's not got 50% crit yet.
No, he's just got that Infinity Edge. He's got a Zeal there as well on top of his Bloodthirster, and he's got the QSS. That's 1,300 gold that's had to be burned just because of all of the crazy CC that's being rained down on him and why he's dying so often in these fights.
And just no survivability. As you see, he's probably going to go Phantom Dancer for even more survivability, but it's just a little bit too little too late. He's already died so frequently. As you can see, you say so frequently, we look at the we look at only 4 times, but for a Draven, that's a death sentence.
That is indeed a death sentence, even with Thresh having been banned away in this game. The Baron has just been started up by the Clyde Claymores pretty much on spawn. Let's see whether or not the split pushing Chen is going to be able to join his team for this fight. Already Baron ripping through health bars, Precision continuing his split push so far. This Baron going down lower and lower, but the zoning is good from the London Lionhearts. They're not letting the Claymores get this one easily. There is a massive, massive wave pushing in favour of the Claymores in the mid lane. The inhibitor has respawned in the bot lane. Afande is completely caught out. That's going to be a
the
redemption. It's going to be the Pop Blossom coming in. Ram is now on a rampage, having taken down Afande. True Rambo taking down Morkan. Hawkmoth doing everything he can, joining the fight, but going so very, very low. He does manage to take out Luxif. His health regen is absolutely obscene. NoFox comes into the fight. He's a freaking champion. He gets the Guardian Angel, and this could be NoFox and Hawkmoth. They've both got to stay alive. Hawkmoth manages to survive, but meanwhile Precision and Rama are at the base. They take down the Nexus. They send the London Lionhearts to the semi-finals. The Clyde Claymores are gone.
And the team that we said inherited the title of favourites is taken down by the London Lionhearts, not just barely, not in a 2-1. This is a 2-0 from our Seed 2. Come on, man, give me something.
That was incredible. Hawkmoth, I'm just looking at Hawkmoth and
Hawkmoth tried so hard.
They're winning this fight. They're doing everything they can, and the corner of your eye, you just spot Ram.
It was so pretty. At the start of that fight, I could see it. Shen was pushing up the bottom side of the map, and the Sivir, for a moment, was standing in the Raptor brush like, should I just ult and run it up mid? No, I'll try and stop the recalls. I'll save it for the team. Nico will TP in. And then he dies for the fight, but you saw how much time he was buying. And the fact that he died there to Hawkmoth and No Fox Given was just enough time that they needed to get those kills, and he valiantly sacrificed himself, and honestly, I'd give him my player of the game.
That is the sort of game that League of Legends, just watching League of Legends is all about. And if you're out there and you didn't enjoy that game, why are you watching a League of Legends stream? Because that was incredible. But it's the sort of series, the sort of storylines that we love as well. The underdogs in this game, the London Lionhearts.
Hey, I feel pretty good now because my prediction at the start of the season was London Lionhearts is one of the favourites. So when they started losing in the group, I was like, no, they've pulled it back. They're going to the semis, and they've taken down the Clyde Claymores convincingly at that. This wasn't just a wishy-washy series. Even though game 1, Clyde had control and unfortunately did throw it off of that fight, that second game was entirely convincing. They were in control throughout.
There aren't many worlds in which a team that has just been to the finals in the last split gets called underdogs, but with roster changes, with, like you say, the way things have gone in groups, I have to agree with you. They were absolutely the underdogs in this, but they came through big, turning a massive advantage round in the first game, securing that game despite some small stutters in the second, and now they find themselves in the semi-final of the Belong Arena Clash. We have got one more quarterfinal to bring you, Lakeside versus Tyneside. However, we are going to take a small breath to try and recover. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you has brought me out of me. My love for you, 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 my
get that from my dad. I'm not far from the tree. I flow like I'm a butterfly, sting like a beamer. I hate features. Done my running around with my head in the clouds, feeling lost and then found. When they woke up and frowned, tell myself I'm the man. I was right to be left. Now I'm back to myself. Who am I to keep on holding you from everything?
With the conclusion of our last series, we are guaranteed a brand new League of Legends Belong Arena Clash champion because all previous winners are now eliminated. The London Lionhearts taking out the Clyde Claymores, and now we have the opportunity to bring you the Tyneside Guardians versus the Lakeside Leviathans. Once again, I am Stanley Greyheart Barker, proud to be joined by Stuart Sin McLeod.
And I'm excited to see the Lakeside Leviathans yet again in a very explosive team. I look at the bot lane especially. They've been playing so aggressive, but the thing I'm looking forward to most of these guys is just seeing how they match up against teams from other groups. Some of these groups seemed very stacked. Some of them seemed a little bit disappointing, but Xenonic and Exodus have been so good for this team. Exodus in particular getting one of our Play of the Week awards and being so crucial with that Rise play that got them the backdoor and won them the game. It's a team that can go all in and explode, or it's just pretty much going to blow up in their face. You have to see which side it comes down on.
I was sad not to have the opportunity to cast that game, but what a play it was. Honeybun with Godspeed, Harayan and Joski are the remaining members of the Lakeside Leviathans. On the Tyneside Guardians, we have
Chris carries you. Yeah. Oh, I got to say, this is buying into the client as well because it's caps on one side and not on the other. Ikari, Hylia, Wilkes, and Gauge Symmetry.
So we are going to be bringing you this game now. It's a best of 3 series, and we are on the other side of the draw. So
you can
the
hear the
winners
tilt in his voice, can't you guys? It's great. When he realizes one side's in all caps and one isn't, it's too much for him to bear. And when you notice it in Champion Select, it's even worse for him.
So the winner of this series will not be facing off against the London Lionhearts because this is the other side of the draw. They instead will be going on to a different semi-final. We can bring you straight into the picks and bans, and we're seeing them as they were selected through the game. We're going to see the Pyke and the Nico banned away by Lakeside Leviathans, Tyneside taking away Rumble and Aatrox.
Yeah, so the interesting bans here. The Nico's still a very safe pick. Pyke, since the changes, has risen in priority because of the fact that his ultimate now just gives you a cool 900 gold if you kill somebody with it.
That's a fairly large amount, to be perfectly honest. Pyke definitely benefiting from some of the changes coming in recently, having been nerfed, then buffed, then nerfed, then buffed. They've decided they really want Pyke to be part of the game.
They nerfed his laning ability and then went, well, we want G2 to still do well at Worlds. So they buffed him again. But
will G2 do well at Worlds?
They will.
How well?
I reckon they're going to at least make semis.
Big predictions coming in there, but you also said that the Clyde Claymore's going to win in the last game, so I'm not feeling overly confident right now.
Hey, don't blame me, blame Clyde. Blame Morkan.
Just don't go turning into Chronicler with your skill when it comes to predictions, all right? Meanwhile, we are going to see...
Chronicler got to the point where he was actively trying to sabotage himself, though.
And then he started getting them right. That was the funny thing about it. It was when he intentionally picked them wrong, and then they went the other way. So, R.I.P. Mao. Meanwhile, you wanted to see Nunu earlier.
Azir jungle!
And you're going to see it now.
We're seeing, in one side, they are just picking in pick order. The other side, they're going to mix it up later on. But yeah, Azir, we assume this is Jarvan jungle. Azir made Lulu support. We're going to get more of an idea what this is as we get further into pick and ban. But
sure, but let's go back to the Nunu. We talked about cookies a lot earlier on. We're going to get to see Nunu and Willem bring in the pain, rolling those snowballs down the mid, trying to snowball their own team, not the opposition.
Which Nunu skin would be the best skin besides Yeti Bart?
Again, feel bad about Grungy, so not going to say that. So I'm going to say...
TPA.
Yeah,
TPA.
I was literally where I was trying to get to. I was trying to remember the team name, but yep, TPA, 100%.
Taipei Assassin Nunu, the best one. But after those bans, we're going to see Jinx Lulu bot lane. Okay, this is hyper scaling on the side.
Unless it actually is an Azir jungler, then we're like, wow.
No, this is the Azir mid. Okay, let's calm it here. Let's calm it here.
So
the Lulu will be going into support, and the Jinx will be AD carry. Then we're going to see the Jinx become a late game hyper carry because she's going to get the movement speed buff and the attack speed buff from the Lulu. And once she gets one reset, the fight can be pretty much over instantly. She needs to dodge so much CC though, and they need somebody to buy space coming in from the top side. We'll be matching up against the Gnar, and that Vladimir is going to buy plenty of space for her to work in because he has to be dealt with. He can't be ignored.
Okay, so that's most likely to go up into the top lane, with Azir obviously taking his mantle on his mid lane crown.
This is going to be a slow start
Slow burner.
Because you can see this already. It's the Lulu Jinx bot lane, hyper scaling,
Yep.
slow build up into the late game.
Very little
The
kill
Azir,
potential.
slow build up into the late game. Vladimir, slow build up into the late game. And the only person who can, only duo that can punish that is the LeBlanc and the Nunu.
Yes.
If they can snowball ahead, then they can accelerate the pace of this game, get the Sivir Braum going, get everybody moving around the map, and get Lakeside into a position where they can take over. But Tyneside here, they just need to sit back. They need to disengage as best they can and wait for the late game, because if they get to that 30-40 minute mark, their comp looks nigh unstoppable.
Speaking of unstoppable, Lakeside Leviathans did not drop a single game through the group stage. Tyneside Guardians, on the other hand, did. They had a very, very dicey affair trying to get out of that group of death, some would call it, which had the Portsmouth Pirates in as well, as we know they fell at that that first hurdle of the group stage. Looking at those drafts, looking at the way teams have been performing so far, how are you feeling towards this series and this first game in particular?
Well, I feel like it's Tyneside have kind of built into the fact that either Lakeside explode into the game and they get massive advantages, or the games go very late. Like we saw, one of them had to end with a backdoor. So they are buying into the fact that this game is going to go very late, and when it does so, they're going to be able to hyperscale into it. They're going to be able to have that Vladimir, the Azir, and the Jinx all do tons of damage and blow the game wide open.
Okay, going to bring you onto the Rift with all the action and just as soon as possible. We saw a tiny clip of it there, gave us a lot to look forward to, and now we get to see even more. We're going to see Jarvan and Nunu. They're not meant to be mid laners. They're just having a little dance off.
Yeah, they're just trying to hide as much information as to where they're starting, but interesting little line of scrimmage here that they've got set up where jugglers are mid and mid laners are in the river. I guess the mid laners here are both the safer picks, so they're happy to just dance around that river.
They certainly are safer picks, and speaking of safer picks, Lulu is going to be in the bot lane with Jinx, keeping her as safe as possible as the game gets later and later. If this game is to go as late as we think that it is, with the way the two teams are built up, whose composition does that play the most in favour of?
If the game does go slowly,
Yes.
if the game goes slowly, it 100% goes in Tyneside's favor, because the Jinx hyper carry late game. They've got 3 hyper carries, and they have the ability of the Lulu and the Jarvan to buy space for those hyper carries to do their DPS. So Tyneside, they just need to hold on to the game for as long as possible, because where that starts to fall apart is when the LeBlanc is able to start roaming around, is able to start getting small advantages in the side lane and allow that Sivir Braum to start roaming around the map. That is where they can turn this game in their favor.
With all that being said, we're now going to look at a really
level 2
early,
Nunu gang.
a bit of potential, forcing the flash out of the Jinx, instead going to knock the Lulu straight up in the air and straight back to the fountain. Honeybun with the first blood in this series.
The classic level 2 Nunu snowball gank, as it goes directly from red buff into the bot lane and finds a nice pick this early that should give them the control of this lane, and it should deny a lot of experience from that Lulu, who is needed to give the shields to help trade and to help control this lane at all for Tyneside.
Exactly the start that the Leviathans will be hoping for, and knowing that they're slightly on the clock with the potential scaling that the Guardians have got in the Jinx, in the Azir, and also in that Vladimir as well. They certainly want to be proactive as much as possible. I really do want to see Xenonic having the opportunity to make some proactive plays, however, and a lot of that will come down to Hiryuan.
Yeah, Hiryuan, who has played the Nunu a couple times this split, actually got one of our plays of the week on the Nunu for his consistent CCing throughout the game and his ability to snowball the early game for the Leviathans. We'll see if he can do it again, because he started off strong, but it has given Wilkes the control to be able to get a bit of jungle pressure. I'm looking at his name. Is that NEC Wilkes? Is he already that cocky? He's going to the NEC. That's him.
So basically, what we're alluding to there is the fact that in Summer 65 will be held at the NEC National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. So maybe Wilkes is that confident that he's there already in his head.
He's going. He's already confident that he's going, and I know I've heard a couple other predictions that the Tyneside Guardians are going to do very well this playoffs. This is the first big step, though, because Lakeside did go undefeated, but they had their weaknesses. They are probably the weakest of our 3-0 our undefeated teams. And we'll have to see how that transitions into the playoffs, because they were very much like picking up these games in late game trades, and Xenonic
managing to force the dash out of Hylia, but not quite getting.
They were picking up games off of mistakes from their opponents quite often. They were picking up games because they punished errors and used their map movements a little bit more with a little bit more superiority to their opponents, and they can't rely on that consistently because when you start to play against better opponents, they have less mistakes to punish. You have to make more aggressive plays of your own, and we saw a lot of the plays they did make blew up in their face.
I feel that while you're right, it is a little harsh on the Leviathans, who definitely did benefit from some mistakes coming from other teams, but also were very, very good at doing something that we saw Lionhearts doing in the last game. Taking those mistakes and choosing the right time to be aggressive and what to do. You know, look at the Exodus Rise play, a classic example of just waiting things out and choosing the right moment.
But at what point can you stop relying on silly mistakes and have plays of your own, play making, and the ability to have your players build their own advantages rather than rely on the enemy's mistakes to do so? That's where a team goes from being a team that is decent and a contender to being champion quality.
Well, that's what the Leviathans have now got to show in this game against the Guardians, because it feels like the Guardians are a team that will certainly give away less mistakes than the previous competition the Leviathans have come up against. So far, the Leviathans looking good. They've got themselves that 500 gold lead purely on the back of the First Blood.
Yeah, the lead in bot lane definitely adding up, because the Sivir only even CS, but she does have this control of the wave. She does have the ability to dictate how this laning phase will go. And that First Blood has not yet been spent, so she's not even using that to dictate the laning phase. It's purely off of the control she was given from the fact that Lulu was off the map for that first level.
Speaking of off the map, on the map we look to, and it is the Mountain Dragon that is going to be here first on the Rift. Nunu historically very, very good at taking away these neutral objectives. Does this look like something the Leviathans will prioritise?
You have to think they will, because they don't really have the best Baron-taking team beyond the Sivir. The LeBlanc, not really known for her consistent DPS, and if you look on the other side, two champions known for their consistent DPS are the Azir and the Jinx. So,
yeah, if that Mountain Dragon goes to the Guardians, that is a big bad news for the Leviathans.
But Nunu, he's not done with this bot side. He's setting up for another gank.
Meanwhile, Jarvan getting a little bit of vision down around that Mountain Dragon. He's going to force the Nunu's hand slightly if he is to give some vision, which I believe he will as he walks over this ward here in the top side, in the bottom side bush.
Yeah, they're both junglers hovering around this bottom side. They know the waves are stacking towards the side of Honeybun. And, of course, the side of Lakeside Leviathans here. And the fact that they're holding that wave away from the Jinx and the Lulu means that they are very gankable. And that's what Wilkes was trying to play around. He was trying to acknowledge the fact that they could be soloed out and put himself there to make sure that Hiryuin wouldn't go for that play.
Sin, one of the champions it feels like we haven't talked a huge amount about right now is the Gnar, and how crucial he's going to be the later this game goes. We've talked already about how important Exodus is to the team, having been, you know, an MVP and Player of the Week winner. Right now we see how aggressive he's been on to gauge symmetry, and surely his Gnar ultimates especially are going to be some of the most crucial things as we get team fights later on.
I find it interesting that he's chosen to go for the Hex Drinker so early. It does give you the ability to survive some burst, but what I actually prefer a lot more here is going for like Black Cleaver, because you get that much sustain, you don't have to worry about him so much already. Then you go straight into the Wit's End. You get the attack speed, you get that extra survivability, and you get the Conqueror effect in the middle of the fight as well. It helps your side laning, and it actually helps your team fighting quite a lot. Very underrated item at the minute, and instead he goes for the Hex Drinker purely to survive early burst. But there's only two AP champions, the Azir and the Vladimir. It's playing very much into the fact that he knows this game's going to go late, and he has to survive team fights against them.
Even so, he's doing a very, very good job in lane. He's got himself an 11 CS lead up against the Vladimir. He's consistently able to poke gauge symmetry down. Let's see whether Exodus continues his dominance from the group stage here in the knockouts.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this play here from Tyneside, just slowing the game down enough at the point where they're allowing their lanes to scale fairly evenly. They're losing CS throughout the map, but 800 gold deficit at 8 minutes. You can afford to lose 100 gold per minute because, yeah, you take it to 20 minutes, you're only 2k down. You don't care. If this is the speed at which the game is accelerating, you are fine with that. You can play it slowly because you know the Azir is winning also.
And that is pretty much exactly what they're playing towards, and until LeBlanc finally gets a pick, finally gets a kill and becomes that AP assassin that can be so very deadly as we saw at the last World Championships, it's quite a safe place for the Guardians to be in.
The thing that I'm worried about here though is they've actually gone for a bit of a mix here. They've actually gone for the early game rune on Hylia. He's gone for the electrocute rather than the lethal tempo that we normally see on Azir's. So he's not going to have much attack speed when he goes for that AP item first. It means his mid game is far weaker, and his hyper late game scaling is also weaker. It's purely built around getting some early game trading in, and so far, if it's not netting him a kill, it's not worth it.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I had noticed that, and I didn't want to say anything at risk of sounding foolish if it is a constantly picked up one, but that's definitely a curious decision from the Azir, considering how the Guardians are playing this game so far.
Yeah, the reason he has done it, as we say, is it's similar to going Comet. It's just for laning to be able to poke out, try and get a bit more control of the lane, but you're not really going to be trading aggressively consistently into a LeBlanc.
A Shurima shuffle will be required to get Azir to safety here. He uses that wall just as a pure disengage, and so far most of the ultimates we've seen throughout the game, whether it be that or the Glacial Fissure, have purely been about disengage, not really engaging onto opposition.
You know, this game's slowed quite a lot down. It doesn't really seem like we're going to get
Did it ever speed up?
Yeah, it seemed to speed up for a minute when a level 2 gank caused first blood in bot lane.
I'll give you that.
But 7 minutes later, as we've seen not even more than a couple tower shards fall, yeah, we start to question how long this is going to take before the action really takes place. The Mounted Dragon has not even been looked at thus far.
Is it bad that I'm cheering for the Tyneside Guardians because the Leviathans are playing the Sivir skin that's making me hungry?
The pizza delivery Sivir.
So hungry for pizza right now. In fact, I'm hearing in my ear that if this series goes to 3 games, our producer will buy us both pizza.
Oh, that's great news, yeah.
That is pretty great.
He's committed to it now, he can't take it back.
Absolutely, so at the very least I feel a little bit better about that now, so Leviathans are getting a bit more love from me now.
So we need to see this game go to the full 3.
Meanwhile, Gnar into the wall. Vlad in so very much trouble.
Gage
He
gonna
has
survive,
a
though.
lot of health. He has a lot of health regen in Gage's inventory, able to pop himself back up to around about 3rd health, but still Exeter's the dominant force in this top lane. A 15 CS advantage.
You know, what's the best topping on pizza?
Ooh. Like, am I only allowed one topping, or am I allowed to mix them?
You're allowed to pick a type of pizza, yeah.
So there's one that an unnamed brand does called the Mexican Hot, which has like jalapenos, peppers, pepperoni, pork sausage. That's pretty perfect for me.
Mine's a really weird one. Mine's a really weird one. I actually remember this pizza I had. It's probably just from nostalgia. I had it years and years ago when I was younger, and it was weird. On one side it was creme fraiche and prawn, and the other side it was like a normal pepperoni pizza, and it was the weirdly nicest pizza I've ever had. It was from this nice Italian restaurant I went to in London. It was, yeah.
That sounds utterly horrific.
It was amazing somehow.
My hopes of the pizza that's been promised to me by our producer as well have been dashed slightly, because I've just been told that if he's going for a pizza, he's going all out on some Sainsbury's
basic, yeah.
Yeah, so still, at least he's promised to buy us pizza. Oh, we're getting pepperoni, jalapenos, and pineapple. Should we just leave now?
Do we leave now if one of our producers tells us he likes pineapple on pizza? That's the thing.
You know what? There are times when I'll have pineapple pizza. Don't wait.
Can we get him in here to replace one of us now?
not with that combo. So it's no, that's a big no. Future sailor, you can sail away with that one. But just at this point of the game, I think it's become clear that the excitement is so dramatic that in Twitch chat you need to be telling us all your top pizza selections. Our producers will
tell you. It's all about
peas.
peas and mayonnaise.
You know what? There's a fight going on around Infernal, but let's keep talking about pizza. No, screw that! Let's look at a 4-man cataclysm, because Wilkes goes in, does not manage to find a kill.
Whatever.
But it was a very nice little play, and we have got the Infernal Dragon that is now being targeted. Very confused because I thought it was a Mountain Dragon, but no, turns out Infernal all along. Dung got bamboozled, and Wilkes is getting further bamboozled because he is taking a lot of damage. He uses his shield to keep himself safe. He uses the smite, manages to secure Infernal Dragon for the side of the Tyneside Guardians. They get in, they get out, they get the reward.
So the hyperscaling team gets the hyperscaling Drake. They're pretty happy with that right now, and so far they've got everything in their favor. The lanes are slow scaling. There's no acceleration of pace. No towers have fallen. At 13 minutes in, they've got exactly what they wanted.
Oh, I like what Hylia is doing in the mid lane as well. He's continuing his dominance. He's got the same sort of CS lead that we're seeing being built up by the Gnar in the top lane for the Leviathans. And right now Azir just scaling towards that big power spike he'll get later on. Already must almost have enough gold towards that Ludens.
So, like, that fight, though, was so close to being an explosive fight, but both teams just kind of went, do you know what? No, we don't really want to fight here, and both backed off.
Meanwhile, this is going to be Gage Symmetry going forward,
Ooh,
dodging
really
away
nice W.
from the knockback, but he's going to get Nard into the wall. Exodus keeping himself safe. Meanwhile, Gage Symmetry finally starting to come into this play. Once again, a reminder, if you are out there in Twitch chat, please let us know your favourite types of pizza, and we will have our producers checking that chat and letting us know.
Do you know, I had a bolognese calzone once, which was quite nice.
Oh, actually, that sounds great.
that was really nice.
Dear God, I'm hungry.
You're gonna make it worse now.
Speaking of hungry people, can I just take a moment to throw some serious shade towards Big Hungry Phil? This is a man who is big, he is hungry, and most importantly, cannot stress this enough, he is Phil. Now, he came to the Belong Studios last night and he brought a box of donuts, and there were some left behind. I will put to him, he may be big, he may be Phil, but he's most definitely not hungry.
Disappointed in him,
I'm
apparently.
legitimately very disappointed. We have a bone to pick. Like, I think this might lead to a feud going into WrestleMania. I mean, Insomnia.
Is it just you walking into Insomnia pointing at the sign?
I'm not Ronda Rousey.
You just look at Phil and then point at the sign. You're gonna have a 1v1 now.
It's going to be, as Mal told me, it's
you
car
two.
park.
We have to organize it now. You two have to have a multi-game 1v1. You're gonna 1v1
Okay.
in FIFA, Overwatch, and League of Legends.
I can do that.
FIFA's the tiebreaker.
Well, who says I'm not going to stomp him on, Overwatch? That's a fighting game, right?
Oh god. You have a lot to learn, young grasshopper.
But no, absolutely. Big Hungry Phil, I will see you at Insomnia. And
At Insomnia Mania.
It will go absolutely down. Last time round it was League of Legends casters going all out against Tekken casters. This time it's all about Overwatch versus League of Legends. And right now it's all about 2 versus 1. Lakeside Leviathans and Tyneside Guardians duking it out in the top lane. Here comes the greatest ever Snowball. It is not quite going to connect onto Wilkes, but he has to burn his flash to stay alive. Meanwhile, the Nara is going to pull Gage Symmetry back, and here comes Zelenik trying to get a kill, trying to get this Assassin LeBlanc snowballing, but it's just not happening. Still no kills.
But this is how League of Legends is sometimes. It looks more like a FIFA game where nothing happens for 20 minutes.
What's a FIFA game?
FIFA? Well, what is a FIFA? I've never played this FIFA before.
Meanwhile,
it's kind of like Tiger
there's a
Woods
kill!
Golf 2019
There's a kill
Of a
on
turret.
a turret.
of an inanimate object. Let's go, boys.
Hey, if you can headshot it, you can get excited about it dying.
But the thing
That
is,
sounded
like,
all sorts of
we're
wrong.
all memeing here. We're all having a bit of fun, but
Well, you are. I'm just hungry.
you're not Phil. The thing is here that the slower this game goes, the more exciting the late game fights are going to be.
God, I hope so.
Like you gotta think they're building it up. This is like somebody stepping on a hose pipe right now. At some point, it's gonna burst.
That's my favourite analogy of the split so far. Oh dear grief. Oh, I didn't even check. Which Nunu skin are we dealing with?
Oh, we haven't had a look yet, but this is Gravelord Azir versus IG LeBlanc.
Lovely skin.
And there's Basic Nunu.
Basic. That's a disappoint.
Yeah, what a basic boy. But this is the skin he always goes for. Just likes that classic Disney-looking skin. There was a lot of Disney vibe that kind of came from Champions last year. You got the Zoe as well. And
very
then
much
the
so.
start of this year, you got Nico. It was very much a Disney vibe. And now, like, I love that they've started introducing more champions with, like, thicker accents. Ooh.
Nunu has made a way into the top lane. This is going to enable Vlad to go for the 2 versus 2 against the bot lane duo of transitions in the top side. A nice Glacial Fisher
And
will
nothing.
zone the Lulu away, but here come more members of the Tyneside Guardians. They're looking to land a zap. It's not quite going to connect. That's going to be the Hemo Plague damage coming through. The Super Mega Death Rocket does not claim a victim, and the Lakeside Leviathans will back away once more.
But
However,
they get to drop the Rift Herald down bot lane, yeah.
that. Look at what's happening in bot lane. We already saw that first turret of the game go down, and now we're going to see even more damage done as the Herald pushes down onto the inner turret.
Jinx
That
running
is
him down,
gonna be
though.
Jinx securing a kill on Sivir. After all of that, the kill is off screen. Oh.
Thanks, Dom.
How can you go
literally
15 minutes without a kill, and then you don't see the goddamn kill?
This is like doctor level observing right now. This is... Okay.
This is a man who has pineapple on olive pizza.
Oh god, but now we're seeing more fights at least towards this dragon. This is finally the mountain dragon.
We are going to see the stun of 2 into the wall as Exodus helps his jungler securing the dragon, but he's going to die despite attempting to get over the wall to safety. We're
going to kill on screen, guys!
We're going to see the flash burn by Nunu, keeping himself safe, having secured the mountain dragon. A really crucial one to take away from Tyneside Guardians. If they'd been able to get that onto Haya and Hylia, on that Jinx, on that Azir, it really could have spelled ultimate destruction for the Leviathans.
Yeah, it's very close to being caught out, multiple members being caught out, but like now the fact that they've got the control, they got that member dead, they have the ability to siege up mid lane, even though they don't have the most amount of minions, this Jinx still does a ton of damage to towers, and she's shredding through them with the massive attack speed she's been able to get by going these early Berserker Greaves and Double Dagger.
The foot has been taken off the hose pipe. The game is starting to unfold before us, and as we approach 19 minutes, we are starting to get closer and closer to the key action that will decide this game. Have the Lakeside Leviathans done enough to put themselves in a position of power against this scaling Guardians composition?
Yeah, we've not had the floodgates fully opened yet. The game's still recovering. It's still being drip fed. It can't handle solid foods just yet. So we're giving it just a couple kills at a time. Eventually we'll get there to those big 5v5s, don't worry.
We definitely will. And as we get there, will things be looking good for the Leviathans, or are the Guardians just scaling too infinitely?
Honestly, Leviathans, they still have windows. We saw what the CC chain of the Nunu and the Gnar can do. If you've got a Sivir cleaning up because she spikes earlier than the Jinx does, then potentially you have the ability to take fights off the back of that, and maybe LeBlanc looking to make a pick. But it's when this game goes another 10 minutes, when we're looking past that 25 towards the 30-minute mark, that's where Tyneside look to be nigh unbeatable if there's no advantage already built up.
Oh, the prediction was excellent. The Glacial Fissure tilted very, very slightly to make sure that the flash from Ikari is going to go straight on top of that knockup. However, the flash in and the stopwatch are just enough to keep the Lulu alive for now. Still only 3 kills in this game, but continued pressure being put on by the Lakeside Leviathans.
And now they're the ones with the siege pressure mid because they were able to get that flash to summon it out of the Lulu. But they're all going low here. The Super Mega Death Rocket has to be blocked.
Beautiful step forward. That's what a Braum does. Nipples or not, he will save his team.
Oh god, we're still going back to this. No, all these members low, and the siege goes back the other way. This is just back and forth seesaw.
Can you imagine for a moment that someone's just tuned into the stream, wasn't here for our earlier conversation and just heard that line?
Nipples or not, the tower's still gonna fall.
It certainly is. Meanwhile, look at the scaling composition of the Guardians. We have got CS leads on both their ADC and their mid laner. They have the ability to rip through Baron as quick as they want, even without the Mountain Dragon. I'm not sure how the Leviathans are going to be able to stop them.
Yeah, it's hard to fight this because you know they've got the Inferno Dragon for extra scaling. You know they're getting to a point where the Jinx and the Azir are just going to be able to go Baron and pretty much two-man it. But you have some control of the waves. You still have a decent amount of wave clear with the Sivir. The Gnar is still winning out this side lane until a point at which the Vladimir is winning that 1v1 in the side lane. This is still winnable for Leviathans.
It certainly is, and they get a turret as if to emphasize that point. Their gold lead goes up to 1,500.
There's the Runins.
Now, with some key items being completed across the board, we've got to take a moment to look and see who's hit the biggest power spikes. Phantom Dance and Essence Reaver for the Sivir, the Infinity Edge, Runans for the Jinx. Both of those champions now are starting to become online. However, for me, Jinx is starting to look slightly scary with those rockets.
But Jinx needs the rest of her team to start the fight. She can't be the primary DPS. She needs other people to do damage to get people low so she can get her first reset, so that she can get all that damage down in the fight. She isn't a self-reliant carry just yet. Whereas the Sivir, she is able to DPS every single person on the screen at once without having to get that reset off, without having to overcommit to the standing in very close range to land those rockets on 3 targets. She's a lot safer, a lot less risky, and honestly the Sivir's a little bit stronger at this phase of the game. We need to see another item come through from the Jinx. We need to see the rest of the team start to be able to fight on their own, and then the Jinx can come online.
For the third time this game, for the third time today, we have got a Jarvan in the game, and for the second time we're seeing a Cinderholt. Personally, I'm a big fan of that. You talk about Jinx not being able to engage, got to feel a big part of the engagement's got to come out of Jarvan.
He knows he's got the hyperscalers. He doesn't need to overcommit.
Exactly, and with a wild growth even potentially on top of him as well to keep him alive just that little bit longer, I feel he's going to be able to survive and allow his hyper carries to do damage.
You're making me miss Camille Lulu now when you went Lulu mid, Camille jungle, and you just used to hyper invade the enemy jungle. Camille would eat in, knock somebody up, then the Lulu ult comes through and you easily kill people.
This is really, really important. A Mountain Dragon spawning very, very shortly. And if this goes over to the Tyneside Guardians, despite being denied that first one, this could mean that they can just shred through all objectives obscenely fast.
Now this is still very important to try and deny if you're the Lakeside Leviathans. You can't just let this one slip.
They surely can't do anything here though, because Exodus
Everybody's
is
off
here
the map,
doing everything that he can, but even with Nunu around, he would have been absolutely sacrificing his life for at best a 50-50, even with the Chomp. So that is going to be the Mountain Dragon going over to the Guardians, and the exact dragon I said the Leviathans couldn't let slip is, well, they let it slip.
And now the Mountain and the Inferno, we'll have to see what the next dragon's going to be, but at the same time, this is Tyneside getting a big advantage for themselves in terms of the scaling. We know that already they got that Inferno to give them the bonus there, but the Mountain, again, we talked about the fact that it's not going to be too long before Jinx and the Azir can walk Baron and 2-man it. And it's becoming even more of a threat the more Mountain Dragons you give them.
Credit to the Leviathans, however, they're keeping up the vision fairly well, and it's hard to see them letting it slip around the Baron too much right now. In the last game, in the last series, we saw both the Lionhearts and the Claymores opting in to try and start a Baron when there were still 5 members of the opposition team alive and really paying for it. I can't see the Guardians slipping up in the same way.
The issue I've got, though, for the Leviathans right now is, unfortunately, Xenonic in this mid lane. The fact that he picked LeBlanc, there's a champion that needs to be hyper-aggressive and set up picks, because if LeBlanc doesn't get a lead, she just doesn't have anywhere near the damage of everyone else. She needs to make plays, and they've not done that. She's sitting behind the Azir in gold, she's sitting behind him in CS, and she's going to be sitting behind the rest of her team in terms of the damage at the end of the game unless she's able to start making assassinations happen. She needs to prove why she went out on a limb and picked this LeBlanc.
Yeah, this is very much not the sort of rookie or perks LeBlanc that we saw at Worlds. This is more of a slightly limp comparison to it at the moment, and unless we do see some big kills coming in soon,
it's just autopilot.
Might be slightly regretting the pick, especially into this massively scaling composition that's getting stronger and set up stronger by the second as we see Haya just stepping forward, throwing those rockets down with the Runins, doing all of that AoE damage. Azir backing her up, Lulu there for the shields, looking happy as Larry.
And this is one of the reasons we said one more item, because you see that Ardent Sensor coming through from the Lulu, that's a big help, because she can just throw a shield on the Jinx, throw the attack speed bonus and movement speed bonus. She runs up, lands a few auto attacks, and backs off again. She doesn't have to commit too hard. She can just use her auto attacks for poke, and you saw how much one rocket was able to do to Zenith.
That is really quite a lot of pain that's being thrown the Leviathans away. The game, however, itself is still finely balanced. Yes, the Guardians are scaling up. Yes, we're past 25 minutes now. We're well through mid-game, getting closer and closer to late, but the Leviathans do still have the gold lead. They're still hanging with the Guardians as it stands.
Yeah, the gold lead's still slight, though, and they need to find some fights in their favor, or this is going to start slipping very soon. We said that they're on a timer because Narkin needs to consistently win that side lane. The moment he starts losing the side lane is the moment that Gage Symmetry is able to set up huge flanks to buy Jinx the space to free DPS while they're all trying to deal with the fact that a Vladimir is nearly one-shotting.
I have to say, one thing I like from the Leviathans is the fact that they have successfully been able to get that Gnar really, really going, continuing the split push. You look at the turret score at the minute, 4-2 in favour of the Leviathans. They've made the most of potential pushes that they could get going. If they can keep that going, which I honestly believe they can with the way that they're going, the way they're playing this game at the minute and things are proceeding, then maybe, just maybe, they can find their way to that Nexus.
This is really interesting right now because it's one of these matchups where Gnar cannot play the matchup if he is Mega. He needs to be mini Gnar, so he has to wait for himself to be exhausted, back away, and then go back to the fight again. So when he does go back to the fight as mini Gnar, Gage Symmetry is the one backing off the wave. So they're both just not really committing to trades at any point. Both of them afraid to overcommit and lose the matchup instantly.
27 minutes in, one slow burner of a game here in this best of 3 series between the Lakeside Leviathans and the Tyneside Guardians. The winner of this game will be at match point in the quarterfinals of the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends Championship for summer 2019. Remember, these teams playing for a place on the esports stage at Insomnia 65, and right now Zetnik getting a little bit aggressive, immediately having that aggression turned straight back onto him, but he's showing he can do some good damage.
They're seeing a lot of tension around this Baron. One big engage could change it.
The flag, the drag, both of them helping land onto the Braum, but
more
he
disengage.
uses his flash. He dashes back to the safety of his ADC. Will this have bought enough time for the Guardians to start thinking about the Baron? Achari is still quite low, having taken that damage from Zenenik earlier on. This would be a risky play from the Guardians. Personally, I don't want to see them go for it.
But they've got the Ardent Sensor, so they can commit. They've got the Mountain Dragon. They want to force the side of Lakeside to buy into a fight.
Meanwhile, Vladimir pushing in the bot lane. Gage Symmetry finally getting near that first turret in the bot side. But what will this mean for his team? He does have to teleport to join if a massive fight is to break out. And this is a really nice splitting of resources from the Guardians.
But they're consistently getting the shove in. And, you know, this has still been very much a push and disengage game. And both of these teams thinking about what's on the line, thinking about if they do lose this series, they lose their chance to go to Insomnia. They lose their chance to play in the Forge of Champions as the winner of the Long Arena Clash.
Yeah, and that's a real key thing which we haven't talked about. I mean, there's so many great prizes that come from doing well here at Belong Arena Clash. Obviously, the opportunity to play at Insomnia, the prize money, and all of the peripherals that potentially come alongside it as well. But this new grand prize of having the opportunity to compete with some of the top teams and players in the UK, I mean, it's practically a prize that money can't buy.
Yeah, Forge of Champions, that second tier, just the feeder league into the UKLC. So interesting to see how the teams do fare, but we got a lot of teams that are trying to ramp up in level as they get more and more exciting as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. We're seeing even just in that last series, the fact that Clyde couldn't step up and they made too many mistakes. They got hard punished by the side of London, who are ramping up again. We need to see more teams ramp up, prove that they are worthy of that goal. And you know, I'm more interested right now in who gets to make Insomnia, because that final sounds so exciting to me.
It's going to be brilliant, whatever happens. And the fact that we now know, because of today's result, we're getting a new grand champion, that's pretty hype.
So what esport do you probably watch most besides League of Legends?
CSGO.
Okay, do you watch just major events, or do you actually try and keep up with it?
No, definitely just major events, I'm perfectly honest.
Kind of like the Super Bowl, just a once-a-year thing.
Oh, so no, well, NFL I watch year-round because I'm a massive NFL fan. However, when it comes to esports, I spend most of my time
I'm an
casting,
NHL boy myself.
Casting, playing, or watching League pretty much all the time.
When it comes to traditional sports, I'm an NHL boy. I'm a hockey man.
Oh. Ooh. Nice little knockups there coming out of that's some Braum noises for you. Meanwhile, Gnar is looking to try and aggress. He's in mini Gnar form. As you said, this is where he can look to go towards Gage Symmetry. Gage Symmetry using
really early Zhonya's.
And he also used the Hemo Plague as well, so he's going to be missing a key ultimate for a while, but the Guardians are continuing to push. Zenonik gets in amongst them, does a decent bit of damage to Hylia, but takes even more damage himself, has to use the flash. The Zap is going to follow him. He's slowed down. One more rocket might be enough to pick up a kill. Meanwhile, Hylia is being forced back. This is such a crucial fight, and it's right on the base gate of the Lakeside Leviathans. Wilt, so tanky at this point, not even slightly in danger despite throwing himself in harm's way.
And that Baron is still up, and the fact that they got all this pressure, shoved the wave so deep in mid, they can rush towards this.
Yeah, absolutely, but there is no power play, to borrow the NHL term right now. The Guardians are doing this knowing that the rest of the Leviathans can easily close in on them, but because of the Mountain buff, because of the Azir and the Jinx, this is going to be a 5-man buff secured for the Tyneside Guardians. Will there be any fight, or will it just be nice, easy recalls? It is the latter, and the Guardians just took a crucial step in this game.
But now we've gotten to that point, it's past 30 minutes where it's so hard to make engages and make plays happen if you are the Lakeside Leviathans, because the deeper you go into these fights, the more you're just buying into Jinx, resetting and acing you. And because they've got this hyper late game team that destroys towers so quickly, yeah, your Nexus is just going to disappear in one fight because of these death timers.
And you know, one thing is certain in today's broadcast, and that is the fact that because both myself and Sin feel like the Guardians have got the upper hand, that this game is looking good for them, that the Leviathans will win.
It has to. They've still got the ability to catch them out if they just shove the Jinx into a wall in a fight, maybe catch out the Azir as well. That is the way to do it. But because Zenonik is so far behind, the catch potential is significantly weakened.
One ace at 32 minutes, and the death timers are so long that the base could be ripped through. So right now, everything hinges on the next
you're
big
going
fight.
for the full UKLC strat where nobody knows how to end the game, so they all just wait for a late game fight. Well, that's what happens. Like, every game ends in either a backdoor or just, alright, there was an ace at 35 minutes, now the game's done.
it could happen is what I'm saying. Right.
It happened even in LCK this morning. I
Yeah.
was so disappointed because I'm watching Kingzone versus SKT. SKT get one pick at Baron, don't even go for the Baron, just end the game.
That's basically what I'm saying right now for the Leviathans, that if they find the right pick, if they find the right fight, like they seem to be right now on Gauge Symmetry, they could turn it into so very much. And right now, Gauge Symmetry is gone. The 4th kill of the game after 32 minutes and 52 seconds finally arrives, and it gives the power play to the Leviathans.
But now Zeninik has that first kill. He can maybe try and get these rolling together. He needs to find more picks like that. He needs to find ways to catch people out of position because he has so much pressure on his shoulders to one-shot the Jinx in these fights.
Despite the Guardians getting the Baron buff, they have only just managed
now
to
Azir.
equalize the gold lead, and now the fight is starting to brew. It's gonna be Honey going for trying to get as much damage down onto the Guardians as he possibly can, and easily taking down the Jinx, getting a double kill on the back of it. The Nara into the wall is going to send Achari into trouble, and the triple kill
there's
comes
the
in
ace.
for the Sivir, and now the ace is here. We talked about it seconds ago, and now it's a reality. Nice use of the blast cone, blasting Braum further away from his team, but that doesn't matter because now the Tyneside Guardians have got themselves a real advantage. They can get themselves a dragon, they can get themselves turrets,
Or
they've
just run it up
taken
mid, yeah.
more of the lead.
They can potentially even try and rush for an inhibitor pretty soon unless the Vladimir can
minions.
stop them on his own. This is so a late game already. We're already at 35
Yes.
minutes almost. They have the ability to shred towers so quickly. And let's not forget, they got a mountain dragon of their own.
They absolutely have. It's just been secured now by a Nunu, and we're going to see. Sorry, another dragon is just being secured right now by Nunu.
That's the second
It's
mountain.
a second man dragon. They can flip even more turrets on their heads if they want to. Even though they lost the Baron buff, they've actually gained the advantage, but they just lost with Godspeed. He unfortunately unable to survive this Super Mega Death rocket being sent out by Haya.
And he experiences not just death, super mega death for the next
best kind of death.
Yeah, the best kind of death for the next 30 seconds. And unfortunately for him now, we got to think about what that means for the rest of the map. What does that mean for the pressure that they just had all over the map? And it means that a lot of it's gone because the recalls are just being run down by the Jinx.
And Haya is going for trying to catch on to Nunu. Must be delighted not to be able to be slowed in this particular situation, running away with that snowball. And now let's see whether the Tyneside Guardians can turn some damage onto turrets themselves. They are knocking on the base doors again, stepping forward, but they've got to be so careful. Remember what happened in the last fight.
Yeah, the moment that the Jinx gets slammed into a wall by Gnar, the team fight is done. And even though Azir was trying to survive for so long and put down DPS, this isn't the lethal tempo Azir. He doesn't have that same level of DPS. He got caught out very early on and struggled to get back into the fight from there on out.
Well, the game is once again resetting. We are 100% into late game now. There can be no denying. We've said all along that the Guardians had the best of the late game comps. They are down on kills, they are down on gold, but they are even when it comes to turrets taken. They have got themselves one dragon more as well. Can they find the small chance that they need? Sorry, the small opportunity to continue this push and to actually take this game?
Yeah, they just need the ability to get control of the map. They just need the ability to find a fight again on their terms. They need to set up a fight where they can force onto a dragon or onto a key objective and have the Braum ultimate, the Gnar ultimate layered together. Otherwise, they're just going to be split apart in these fights because the Lulu has that disengage, the Azir has that disengage, and the Jarvan, he can dictate the tempo of the fights as well. Tyneside, they have the tools to split apart these fights, but if they stack too heavily, they can get caught out.
Sin, is it fair to say that that last ace that came through for the Leviathans really came off the back of a mistake from the Guardians? They lost Vlad in the bot lane, and then instead of respecting it and pushing back despite having the Baron buff, they tried to continue to push in the top lane, and it was at that point that they just got completely outnumbered.
I think it's not necessarily a mistake. They were playing at a fairly non-committal range. They got hit by a max range dash into Braum ult to get the start of the fight there. But they needed to split up a bit more. They needed to play that a bit safer. They can't overcommit 4 members to one side there when the Vladimirs just died. They need to split the map to deny the 5v5s. They can send Azir to one side, knowing he's got a huge dash range to get away, and have the Lulu, Jarvan, Jinx push another lane. So even if they do overcommit to one side, they win on the other.
Death push being set up, that's going to be the jumpers, that's going to be the flip back, that's going to be a dead Hirion. He's going to get shut down immediately by Haya, who has just been having a great game on this Jinx and is looking forward, trying to get another kill. Will turn the attention to Xenonic, who goes golden, tries to buy just a little bit of time, but is going to get shut down. 2 for 0 in favour of Tyneside Guardian, just as this Baron has spawned. And this could easily be a second
Oh God,
Baron
look at that attack
going
speed.
over to the Guardians. They've got that Mounted Dragon, they've got an Azir, they've got a Jinx. Guess what? They've got a Baron onto 5.
And that Baron could be the one that wins them the game here. They've got a wave topside, they've got the inside track, and they've got the Vladimir pushing mid to collapse on once that wave does get cleared. They have control, and they have members dead to allow them to push this. This needs to be the push that gives them the big advantage.
20 seconds still on Xenonic before he comes back from the death timer that he is currently experiencing, and it's already going to be 1 inhibitor crack. This is the crucial push now from the Lakeside Leviathans. They've taken the turret, but they don't take the inhibitor, opting to not go into the fight despite Xenonic's respawn not being complete.
Yeah, Jinx wanted the, to get excited to take that inhibitor, but the team says, back off. We know we've got push mid. We know we've got a wave arriving in topside. Just rotate them between lanes.
Inhibitor falls, in goes the Gnar. He's just about to get a massive Mega Gnar onto 4. GageSimG able to get the kill onto Whip Godspeed, but here comes Xenonic. He going to jump straight onto the back line as they're doing damage. It's going to be a triple kill for Vladimir. Gage Symmetry absolutely rips through the opposition. This could easily be a game going over to the Tyneside Guardians. Guess what, Sin? This is game 1. This is the Guardians ruining the Leviathan's undefeated streak, and game over flashes up on the emote from Wilkes, and game over it is in this first game. We are going into a second game where the Leviathans now know that if they lose this game, they are donezo.
Well, this is another first seed being upset in game 1, but what we are seeing here is textbook outscaling. They played to disengage. They didn't overcommit to fights. They didn't try and get big fights. They didn't force 5v5s. They knew that if they let the game stall out, they had a potential to just disengage every single fight without having to overcommit, and then siege infinitely because they have a late game Jinx. They were unable to be engaged on, they were unable to be pressured out, and Lakeside, they didn't do enough early to stop the snowball rolling. Xenonic didn't really do anything until the late game, where he found a couple of assassinations too little too late, and so Lakeside, they let me down in that one.
They let you down, maybe they let themselves down.
They let this whole country down.
They let the whole area of Lakeside down. But right now,
They let that whole shopping centre down.
they can have a chance to try and bring them back up again, because we are straight in to picking bans for game 2. The Tyneside Guardians, knowing they just need one more W to get themselves into the semi-finals here and to upset the Lakeside Leviathans.
Okay, so we're going to have to see how this one plays out. We're seeing the similar bans to last time.
Identical so far, I think.
Yeah, the Pike, the Nico, the Rumble, and the Aatrox. Exactly. This is the same as last time around. Hecarim as well. But the fact that they're leaving open all of those same picks we saw last time, the Lulu Jinx, which is that fairly safe bot lane that hyperscales, but their difference is the Sivir is banned. So they have an even higher ability to just go for a hyperscaling bot lane if they want to. They don't need to give a damn about their Sivir.
And we, again, we're using the pro draft means, so we don't 100% know whether this is the actual order that the picks are coming through, but if this is the Azir being immediately locked in, then that's a huge show of confidence coming in from Hylia, who did so well on that champion in the last
it's
game.
definitely not. This is just trying to pick in the actual champion order because they get the Corki into the Azir. Fine matchup for mid lane, scaling matchup again. Jinx outscales almost every single AD carry in the game. The only thing they could really do here to surprise me is go Xayah Rakan. They could try and match the scaling of the Jinx whilst also having some proactivity in the mid game. The Ezreal, however, matches the scaling, but not really teamfight centric scaling. It's much more in poke matchups, little 1v1 individual matchups.
Going to see Nunu locked in one more time. I'm intrigued by how this one's playing out so far.
Hey, it's Hiryu and he's a one-trick Nunu.
Yeah, I think taking the Jinx away from the Guardians, I like this. I think that makes a lot of sense.
But especially when you've taken the Sivir away on top of it.
Yeah.
But the Ezreal still has a lot of late game potential.
I don't know that the Jinx is the one thing that I would have looked at about the last game and gone, this has made all the difference.
I don't think it was the Jinx that made the difference. It was the threat of the Jinx that made the difference.
The composition in general.
The whole composition was built around the Jinx getting to a point where she could poke out infinitely, and I didn't get to see the stats, but I'm 100% going to say that she did the most damage in that last game because she was stepping up, landing poke after poke after poke.
Those
and
rockets
nobody
were horrific.
could even get in range of her. It turned into like that late game Cogmore experience where the moment you walk into his W range, half your health bar's gone.
Jinx is going to get paired up with Braum in the bot lane this time around.
I miss Jinx Tom Kench where you spit people out onto the Jinx traps.
Yeah,
That was the initial bot lane that was like a Jinx.
I just don't
Jinx
miss Tahm
Jinx
Kench very much at the moment.
Jinx, Caitlyn, Tahm were like the original Tahm pairings. Because that was all you did. You just spat people out into traps. Nobody even thought about playing him defensively back then. Nobody had that brain power to think, wait, we can defend an ADC.
Oh, now this is interesting. Exodus is playing Rise. We've seen this before.
We'll see if another mega backdoor can come in here, but there is very little in terms of CC for this team beyond the Braum and the Nunu. The Nunu doesn't have all that much. It's the knock up on the W and then a couple of slows, maybe the root if you land your E properly. But it's conditional CC. If you look on the other side, you've got the Gnar, you've got the Azir Shove, you've got the Jarvan, who is heavy on CC as well. 2 walls for the Gnar to set up as well. I am looking at Tyneside here and thinking they have a lot more tools to make these team fights work, whereas the double AD carry from Lakeside Leviathans, they have to do exactly what Tyneside did last game, disengage every single fight and acknowledge that they have better wave clear to shove these waves and then win out the game that way.
And so we're looking for, dive potential coming out of the Guardians just to stop disrupt that as much as possible.
With that many AD carries and that many squishy members like the Rise, the Corki, the Jinx, you can dive for days when you're playing with a Gnar and a Karma. You don't have to give a damn about their damage because they just burst like a balloon.
So let me and the rest of our wonderful viewers back at home know what you think about this question. Last game, we got to 32 minutes. We had four kills. Is this game going to go that way? Is it going to be another safe, slow burner, or are we going to see some action?
This one's going to be a bit more exciting here because there's not as much disengage, hardcore, just sit back and do nothing. Rise wants to hard farm in the top lane, but he actually has to commit. He has to go into fairly short range to be able to farm it. He doesn't have the ability to just pull out like a Vladimir, so he has to be in a bit more danger. You've got the Corki in the mid lane, who obviously isn't as safe as an Azir. He's going to be against an Azir, and then the Jinx in the bot lane. This isn't Jinx Lulu anymore. This is Jinx Braum. It's a lot easier to commit into this, especially when you can shove her in with Karma and poke her out with the Ezreal.
Well, hopefully you are right, because you know what? I want to see some kills this game.
It's Papercraft Nunu.
Now that I like. I've got a lot of time for that skin. I've got a lot of time for the Papercraft skins in general, actually.
I just prefer Festival Queen Anivia.
That's pretty wonderful. Is that like the Brazil?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it's one of the few skins for her where the wall actually is different.
I almost called Brazilian Anivia, but that's something entirely different.
God, no, please. She's a bird, man. Stop it.
So, once again, junglers meeting up in the mid lane. Once again, Hirion on the Nunu. Once again, Wilkes on the Jarvan. We've now seen 4 Jarvan games today. So far, 2-1 in favour of Jarvan wins. Let's see whether he can make it 3-1, or are we going to be going to a game 3? That's certainly what the Leviathans are going to be hoping for. And they're going to hope that Wilkes brings Jarvan's win rate for the day down to 50%.
The champion I actually want to look at here is a champion we don't get to see much since the changes, and it is that Rise in the top lane. Rise is a champion now that doesn't really have the same safety he did before. He isn't just perma-churning through shields. It's very much you land your E, it bounces between the minions, and you land your Q, just a free wave clear, and you sit back and you don't really commit that hard to anything.
Oh, watching Karma's damage come through there onto Braum, that was quite significant. Nunu coming down into bot lane. We saw level 2 gank last time round. This time does not come into a first blood.
Yeah, tries it once again, but I think everybody's ready for it this time around.
Fool me once.
Yeah, fool me once, exactly. They're not going to let themselves get picked off this early yet again. And at the same time, Akari, he's going to be happy it wasn't bot lane.
Interesting to see how many champions have sort of flipped hands. Well, 2 essentially, the Gnar and the Jinx swapping teams basically in this game. We're going to see Gage Symmetry able to push up on this now. He's going into the Rise. This is going to mean that Exodus is playing a completely different style of champion to last time round. How do you think both he and Zenic will adapt to playing such different champions?
I think that it's a very different style, and they want to sit back and try and scale it evenly with Tyneside, but they have to have a team composition that fits that. They have to have enough CC, they have to have enough engage potential. And if you look at what their engage potential is, it's a Corki package and a Nunu landing snowball. Neither of those are very consistent.
Oh, here comes that Nunu trying to land the snowball. He's
that turning circle
all the way around. He forces the flash out of Gage.
Look at the handling on that vehicle.
That was some full-on Tokyo drift coming out of Hirion.
Need for speed, you might say. as he's just drifts fully into the top lane. But the turning circle actually surprises people. How tight
that was insane.
Nunu can get that snowball to turn around.
And how
the
long
corner,
it lasts as well.
Exactly, and he still forced Gage Symmetry to flash to dodge the snowball even at the end of all that.
Well, that's definitely something that will play into the Leviathan's
This
hands.
is what Karma does. She shoves you into your tower.
She's such a pain in the backside, even with the changes coming through in 9.15.
She's just going to shove you into your tower some more because her Q does way too much damage in the early game.
Certainly does. But Gage Symmetry now, he had been poking Exodus down quite nicely, been pushing in, now he hasn't got the flash to play off, and if Nunu comes once more, this could mean trouble for Gage Symmetry. He gets the leap nicely timed, he still gets knocked up, however. We're going to see the Rune Prism, we're going to see the damage coming through, and Burst Blood goes through. Hiruin gets that one for the Lakeside Leviathans, and this is exactly the turnaround that Lakeside need if they are to come back in this best of 3 series.
Well, he knows the lane to play towards, and he is trying to salvage that lane because Exodus was having a real rough time. Now those 2 ganks up there have given him control and is going to give him the ability to shove in. Gage Symmetry has had to TP back to lane as well. Having no summoners left, I expect a repeat gank fairly soon. He's just not safe up there.
Let's see exactly how much gold Exodus has in the pocket. Probably not quite enough for the tier just yet.
Just think of how easy it is here to build Mercury threads this game, though. Because, like,
against the Lakeside.
Yeah, against Lakeside, because they've got the Ryze, the Nunu, and the Corki, who are all magic damage centric. It's only the Jinx that you have to build any armor for, and you know that she isn't going to be hyper relevant until the late game. And like we said before, she needs to have either someone buffing her like a Lulu, or the rest of the team doing enough damage for her to follow up on. Right now, neither of them are set up.
I've done Exodus a disservice. I said he wouldn't have enough for the tier, but I was very, very wrong. The tier is completed along with some boots.
Well, when you start Mana Crystal, it does make it a lot easier to get tier on base.
That's very true. I didn't give him the credit for that, of course, but Exodus definitely in a happier position compared to that Gnar, who is now just a Ruby Crystal and boots happier.
Yeah,
richer.
He's got a bit of trouble in this lane right now because he is being shoved in, and now all this advantage he had accrued, even though the CS is still in his favor and will be in this favor after this wave, the trading potential is not. Ryze now has the ability to shove this wave much easier with the tier. He has the ability to trade much more effectively by bouncing it off the minions into the Gnar, and it suddenly means that Hiruin, he can start to look elsewhere with ganks. He doesn't have to focus top lane, because then if you get Zenanik ahead, he can start roaming bot lane. He can start using the package effectively, and the Corki being ahead is terrifying.
Exodus is one of those people who seems to really be enjoying the changes to Ryze. I remember when the patch came in with the nerfs, well, the changes to Ryze.
Yeah, the removal
nerfs
to the shield was the biggest pain point.
So the change there and the nerfs to Sylas, and I really felt neither of those kind of existed as a champion at that point. However, Exodus was one of those players who continued to play and continued to prove me wrong, especially about Ryze.
Yeah, the Ryze is yeah, since the removal of the shields, it's really removed a lot of his 1v2 potential. The shield now being moved exclusively to the root/slow. But his wave clear is empowered, and his ability to wave clear only amps up as the game goes on. He still can be a machine gun mage, but he is much more along the lines of a Cassiopeia now, where he can be focused out much easier than just, he goes 1v2 and lives because he gets infinite shields.
Yep, that happens. Meanwhile, we just
can't lead her anymore.
Just having a little look at the dragon that will be available to these two teams. Just struggling to tell from the icon whether that is a mountain or an infernal, having already got that one wrong once today. Don't want to make the same error, but it's definitely one of the two.
Yeah, that one is the mountain dragon.
I thought it was, but my eyesight sometimes fails me.
Last time I thought it was the Inferno, but I was like, I don't want to say anything because I might be wrong. I might be me missing it.
You were absolutely spot on last time, and you know what?
So I'm going to trust my own eyesight this time.
I'm going to trust you as well. We'll see it shortly, I'm sure, and one of these teams will do its best to secure it. Again, Hiruin having the Nunu available, doing everything it can to secure neutral objectives for the team. Also the only kill in the game as we hit 7 minutes.
But look at the CS difference in the jungle, and that is what is causing the 500 gold lead, that in the top lane, from the fact that Wilkes has just been happy farming up, knowing that he can do a lot in the mid game once he hits that level 6 mark, and Hiruin, his impact starts to tail off around that point.
The poke and the aggression coming out of Ezreal and Karma in the bot lane is frankly frightening at the moment. Braum sent scurrying back to base on the back of a True Shot barrage. The poke continues almost at 2 turret plates. Kleptomancy on top of this as well, and we see the build that Ezreal's building up.
And that's the tower shard to him as well, so a ton of gold going into his pocket. Early Sheen is the interesting choice though. Normally you go for an early tier. Instead, the fact that he's gone for the Sheen means he wants to continue keeping up this aggressive trading. It means, unfortunately for him, you're going to finish that tier item, you're going to finish that Muramana maybe up to 5 minutes later.
At what point do we stop talking about the champions and start talking about Haya? He's been really, really strong in his performances this split and especially this game.
Yeah, definitely so, and I'm excited to see what he's going to carry on going forward, because this game, the last game, he was the MVP for the side of Tyneside Guardians. He was that Jinx doing the most damage in the game, carrying them through fights. But this time around, it's a lot harder work to carry via an Ezreal.
Once again, Mountain Dragon started up, and once again, a dangerous game is brewing. Braum having to flash himself away. Valkyrie used to take Corki to safety, and due to this zoning, we're going to see the Tyneside Guardians easily able to secure themselves a Mountain Dragon, despite the vision control that was there for the Lakeside Leviathans. True Shot Barrage narrowly missing out on picking up a potential kill. Guardians still down in kills, but they get themselves a Mountain.
They've still got a massive gold lead for themselves as well. Look at this, 1.5k because of that CS lead they've been able to accrue in jungle, top, and ADC. On top of these tower shards as well, it's really getting there for Tyneside to be able to start forcing these fights, because we said they have the tools for engage much better when they've got the Gnar and the Jarvan compared to the side of Lakeside. I think this is a situation in which they can just sit back and relax for the next few minutes, because they know that those fights are going to come when the Rift Herald spawns in the top side. They've already got the advantage up there. Their bot lane's stronger as well. They can rotate however they want around the map. They're going to have an advantage to get that Herald. Yeah,
certainly looking likely a flash out of Exodus is going to mean that Lakeside Leviathan's missing even more right now. They have dropped 2,000 gold behind despite securing the first blood. The CS numbers that are showing up, especially for this Gnar in the top lane, meaning that the massive advantage is definitely coming in favour of the Guardians right now.
Unfortunately for the Ezreal, if we look here, only just picking up the tiers, so we got to think, the tier normally stacks between 18 and 21 minutes. This means it's unlikely to fully stack until 23. I'd say 23 because it accelerates as the game goes on.
Okay, yeah.
So once you're, he's going to be hitting it at a higher level, meaning that it's just accelerates far quicker.
That makes sense.
It's a little bit slower, it slows down your item spikes, but if he's able to play aggressively enough and spam these spells enough, where he's not having to base often, you can get it as early as like the 17-minute mark.
Yeah, and obviously if you're able to upgrade to the Muramana as quickly as you can, then obviously that's going to stack even faster, and considering the pickaxe is already there in the inventory of Ezreal, considering he's already got the CS lead, he's got the Klepto going as well, things definitely looking good. No Tokyo Drift coming in from Hero this time. We are going to see the Realm Warp used, however no follow-up coming in. Corki and Rise taking a long walk, walking straight up to gauge his inventory, and it's Xenoda who gets himself his first kill. This is about 15 minutes in the game before he managed to get his first kill in the last time, and now on the Corki he's able to really put down some damage. Still a gold lead for the Tyneside Guardians, but the Leviathans now have themselves 2 kills to none. It's going to be a chance. Achari stepping forward, trying to change things around. Does manage to take down with Godspeed, but is now completely and utterly caught out. Honeybun fed a free kill.
That's unfortunate because you're giving the free kill to the Jinx while Ezreal isn't able to pick up the kill for himself, but you do get the TP from Exodus. You do get some control back onto the top side because Gage Symmetry maybe doesn't have to blow his TP now. Maybe can utilize that to get a tower shot or make a play to the other side of the map to try and get his team some advantage, because they are slipping behind in kills, but they've still got this gold.
Nice damage coming in from Haya. He's obviously got to turn a bit of attention towards the minions he needs to be farming up underneath his turret, but every single one of these Mystic shots seems to be connecting onto the Jinx.
Yeah, every single one is just stacking up, and it's giving him these Kleptomancy stacks as well, so his gold is accelerating the head of the Jinx. I'll be interested to see how much he's got from Kleptomancy, because he's got about 10 CS lead, he's down a kill, but he's got those tower shards as well. How it all adds up for him is probably around a 500 gold lead, I'd say, at the minute.
Wilt starts up the Herald, but the Leviathans just say thanks for the leash and look to try and take it for themselves. There is no reset going to be there on the patience of the Herald, and this is going to be nice and easily picked up by Hiriam. But here come the rest of the Guardians. They're looking for the fight. It's going to be Cataclysm straight on top of Exodus. Gage Symmetry taking out his opposition top laner, and now the Nunu having secured the Eye of the Herald.
The shove!
Have to run the seismic. The Gnar ult is absolutely beautifully timed. A double kill coming in from Gage Symmetry. Zendlik is going to get locked down by the Karma, taking further and further damage. Yes, the Herald was secured by the Leviathans, but what did they lose as a result?
They lose 2 kills and some tower shards in the top side now. Gage Symmetry well and truly into the game. Now, they can get some gold onto Hylia as well. This is looking some really nice for them. Even though conceding a bit of pressure bot side, they have accelerated the tempo of the game. They've done exactly what they needed, because they are getting to a point much quicker than last game where they can force fights. And like we said again and again, They're the ones with the tools to force fights. Lakeside can't get fights on their terms. There are no ways to engage unless they rely on the 6-minute cooldown Corki package or a Nunu overcommitting and dying for it.
1 minute 50 seconds left on the turret plating. I really want to see where this Herald is going to go down. It's crucial for the Leviathans that they get themselves a little bit of this gold lead back.
The Rift Herald now, exactly. This is what I'm looking at, and how Hiryuin will utilize this. Who is he going to try and put this gold into? Because right now, I think you need to put it onto the... you need to get this gold onto the Corki. So you need to find a way to rotate the Rise down there as you arrive, and then try and snowball off the back of it. This dragon doesn't need to be your focus. You can give the dragon and utilize the Rift Herald at the same time.
We're going to see Braum trying to bait the Karma to a death, and that is absolutely going to work. Hiryuin absolutely helping demolish Echari, but the two members of the Tyneside Guardians joining the fight, trying to turn this one straight back, and here Haya is hitting like an absolute truck. Absolute zero used by Hiryuin.
Just with a shield.
And actually, I'm pretty sure that's what kept him alive.
Exactly, just the last hit and the heal from Honeybun as well, making sure he lives that one, but it does give the dragon over in trade for that 1 kill and the 2 TPs.
Just an Ocean Dragon though, so in this case it feels like the Guardians maybe could be slightly worse off in this trade.
100%, yeah.
So the Leviathan's finally looking actually to make some positive plays. Now the turret plating has fallen off, so any charge the Herald will put down is only going to be getting, you know, actual gold from turrets, not that plating.
But now the idea is, what do they get off of the tempo of forcing the enemy team to reset there? And this might be it. They're looking to get a kill on Zenenik.
He uses his Valkyrie, hasn't got a flash available.
That's what they do with it.
Easy as you like. Hylia removes the Corki.
You force them to base, you utilize the tempo advantage of the fact that nobody's on the map to force another play. It was either going to be a tower or more vision, and this time they're able to get a kill off the back of it.
I love the safety that Haya is playing with as well. Stepping forward in a 2 versus 1, putting damage down, and then Arcane shifting to safety, showing great proficiency on this Ezreal, much like we saw on the Jinx in the last game.
And once again, though, we're seeing a big difference in CS in the top side. Not quite as big as we saw earlier on this day from Hawkmoth, but all the same, this Gnar building an advantage, building a CS lead to the point where he can look to 1v1 that. This game, once again, the breakpoint is, when does Gnar stop losing that side lane matchup? When does Gnar just become a teamfight bot tank rather than a side lane carry? That is how you start losing.
Nunu comes in, but it is more of a zoning tool from Horion. He knows that Honeybun and with Godspeed were already so very low. The poke from Karma and Ezreal is so difficult to deal with. Gnar forcing the flash
TP,
out of Exodus, that is just a really, really easy summoner spell for him to game right now. Package has just been picked up by Corki. There's just only a couple of seconds left to put this Herald down.
And I love that he backs off just as he's about to turn into Mega Gnar as well, knowing that he doesn't need to keep chasing. He doesn't have the slows necessary to keep chasing, so he doesn't want to overcommit to it, forces the flash and is able to instantly get out. This is the Rift Herald being dropped mid though.
This is that's what I call a desperation herald. That is it's about to time out. Put it wherever you can. This isn't about having lane priority or push
getting
power.
shards. It's past 14 minutes now.
It's just I need to use it.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed by that.
It always is disappointing when you have to use the Rift Herald that way, but the best way to use a Rift Herald is you take it at 19 minutes 30 seconds and then end the game with it, so you get to see it dance.
But that's a much nicer, or even better than that, take it at 13 minutes and be so dominant that you end the game with it and see it
yeah, of course, but the thing is, you get to get Rift Herald and Baron buff minions at the same time, so it's even more beautiful.
No, that is a thing I've not seen for quite some time.
Is it's like you literally take Rift Herald and you're so healthy that you take Baron buff as it spawns immediately afterwards.
Part of the rank split is ending, isn't it? 4th of August for this current set of rank rewards. So I think I need to get on the Rift, play a few games, and see if I can make that happen sometime in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But it's still something that requires a lot of dominance. But
I'm very good at being dominant. Okay, sometimes.
Oh god. 5k gold lead though. 4k gold lead rather for the side of Tyneside Guardians. No, it is 5k. I was right the first time.
You certainly were.
And that 5k gold lead,
25,
that 5k gold lead is manifesting itself in the top lane and in top lane jungle and ADC right now. Mid lane's roughly even, so the Corki's picked up a kill for himself. Items aren't too far apart, but the Ezreal, because of the Kleptomancy and these huge CS disparities in top and jungle, are adding up massively. And the Ezreal even though he may not be the full reset attack speed AD carry, his poke is going to add up, and that adds up to be a way of forcing people off of objectives, forcing people off of fights. It's the way that Karma was doing under tower early. Ezreal does that to everyone in the game in just 5 to 10 minutes time.
It's the Triforce Ezreal as well. It's not the IBG, so we are going to see him hitting like an absolute truck.
They've got no engage. He's got nothing to disengage for. He can just go ice. He doesn't need to go Iceborne. He just goes for the Triforce to damage them. They've got no commitment. They've got no one who's going to run him down other than the Nunu, which you're not going to stop with some slows anyway.
Oh, Gnar gets the beautiful two-man Gnarl. Absolute Zero is going to slow Gage Symmetry down his tracks, but he's already zoned Exodus away. He flashes forward, hoping to get some kind of knockback onto Exodus. However, now, having gone mini Gnar, Gage Symmetry is left to run away. The Super Mega Death Rocket going just wide. Only a Super Mega Rocket, no death this time.
Yeah, and without any armor on the side of Gage Symmetry, you have to think that he probably would have died there. But speaking of dying, that's Honeybun getting chunked so massively by this Tree Shot Barrage from a 0 AP Ezreal. This is only going to get worse, because after this, now he's got the Triforce completed, he goes for the Luden's Echo.
That was a scary, scary amount of damage that came in there. Tyneside Guardians looking so very dominant. This is the team that came into the playoff stage as a second seed. They're not even their group winners. Lakeside Leviathans were undefeated, a #1 seed. Most people's favourites to come out of this fixture on top. However, right now, Tyneside Guardians, they are 1-0 up in the best-of-3 series. They have got themselves a 6,000 gold lead in the second game, and they are looking damn good.
You know, I might have to apologize to Martin after this. He did predict Tyneside winning this one. And maybe he was right.
Producers know best.
Producers know best. Better than Color Casters, apparently.
So, I mean, the fact is that I really need the Lakeside Leviathans to win now so that, you know, he does still buy us pizza.
Oh yeah, but like, if we go to game 3, we get pizza, but this is not going to game 3 this time around by the looks.
Oh no, you've done it again, Sin!
Yeah.
You've done it
This
again.
is done. This is over. This is it's not quite that bad, obviously. It's there's still ways for Lakeside to win this, but they are 6,000 gold down, and this Ezreal is looking very strong. He can do that, and then forces a flash instantly.
Flash Mystic Shot.
Yeah.
Flash in return. The heal was saved by Honeybun. That was a level of confidence to not press the F button there.
And he
Didn't pay his respects.
He got the Muramana completion at 19.5 minutes into the game.
That's incredible.
So he was still able to be that dominant. We said it normally gets finished between 18 and 21 if you buy it at the normal time. So finishing it this early when you buy it later shows how he's just been constantly spamming spells in their faces, never having to back off or shy away from fights.
And I honestly think it's a real sign of the gold lead he developed early on as well. The fact he was able to complete that mirror mana so much earlier to stack it even
quicker, get that bonus mana every stack.
It just reflects how dominant the Guardians have been in this game, despite the fact that the kill score is so even. The gold score tells a whole different story. The turret score 4-0. That's just so telling.
Yeah, only 4-4 in kills, but like you say, it doesn't mean anything at all. It's all going to be around these fights around objectives. This is still winnable if you are Lakeside Leviathans, but the issue is you lack engage, you lack frontline, you have to rely on Tyneside Guardians committing to you and you turning it around. If Tyneside are the ones starting an objective, it becomes so hard for Lakeside to stop them, because they don't really have any defensive stats other than the Nunu, and you don't really need to get defensive stats against them, because they don't have enough persistent threat. It dies out so quickly. If just the Jinx falls, they suddenly lose so much DPS.
Lakeside Leviathan stepping forward, trying to get a Demolish proc off, but not even able to do that before being forced to flash and back away from this mid lane outer turret. Meanwhile, Gnar still continuing his push in the bot lane. We're not seeing the crazy CS numbers that we saw in previous games today. However, that's still a 30 CS lead and a 2-kill advantage for Gnar.
What I think about this is, like, we mentioned it a little bit already, but if you're Ezreal, who are you afraid of on the side of Lakeside Leviathans? Who are you afraid? Who do you think you have
no one at this point?
Yeah, who do you think you have to kite back? And it's no one. No one at all. You will survive every fight. You've just got to put down as much DPS as you can, living on literally the knife's edge, because you don't have to play defensively.
Karma gets slowed, those changes to Rise showing through. That's a really brave use of the package, and Zenitek able to get a kill into Achari. That's going to be a nice cataclysm, however, and despite the double kill coming in, the turn of kills arrives because we are 2 for 2 in this fight as the Guardians do everything they can. As Zia flashing away, having already put damage down onto Honeybud, he is going to give up his life. There are 2 members remaining for each team. One of them is higher, and we know how dominant he is. We said he's not scared of anyone, and right now he's proving it. He's going to have that shift forward. He's going to get the damage down. He's got the vision. He's got the ace. The double kill comes in. Ezreal dominant. Guardians looking strong. 9 kills to 7 in their favor.
And how do you kill this Ezreal without just Nunu fully jumping on him and suddenly everybody can follow up? There's no way into the backline. There's no dive. And this team needs to have something diving the Ezreal, diving the Azir, because they've got such a front line in front of it that you will never get to them.
That was the closest thing we've seen to a dive in from the Leviathans all game, and it required the Valkyrie and package both being used by Zenitek to even pick up the support. That is how difficult it is for the Leviathans right now. Short of realm warping their entire team on Ezreal's head, I'm not sure they're ever going to catch that Ezreal.
To be fair, I've seen that before in China. That's the only real place you will ever see that kind of thing. You just Chinese AD carries sitting in a brush recalling, suddenly 5 people appear on top of him.
I'm not going to lie, I'd love to see that right now, but unfortunately, even if they do that, well, guess what? He's still got an arcane shift, so he can probably get to some safety.
Will they TP the fully charged Nunu ult on top of somebody with Rise?
No.
Please. Please.
Did you just see that was full HP on both Braum and Jinx just a moment ago? That is a true shot barrage going through, ripping through the health bars. Luna's Echo now completed.
Yeah, this is only going to get worse. He could build just straight Death Cap now. He doesn't have to give a damn. He should go Death Cap now, if I'm honest. Just max out your ability power, max out the amount of damage your True Shot Barrage and your W is going to do, because no one's going to stop you.
Well, Haya and Tyneside
can't keep getting away with
going
this.
Full Rep Butler. They don't give a damn right now about the Leviathans. They start at the Baron, but they're going to find the Leviathans going in. The Guardians doing everything that they can to win this fight, possibly to win the game right here. Hylia picking up 1 kill, makes it 2. He dashes forward, looking for a 3rd. It's going to be the Sand Soldiers going through the Jinx. That's a triple kill. That's going to be a shutdown finally arriving, but guess who's alive again? The last man standing. It's the Ezreal on practically full health. Triple kill came in from Azir. The hero standing at the end is higher, and now he can look towards the inhibitor.
You get the full house there, the triple and the double to round out the team. And it's going to be here with this much AP as well. He can shred towers. He's just so strong. Like we said, no one can touch him. They commit hard onto Gnar, onto Jarvan. They even get the Azir on the backside of the fight. But no one, I mean no one, is touching this Ezreal.
If the Guardians keep up this level of play, we're desperately going to need to work out how to pronounce this man's name. Is it Haya? Is it here? Is it Haya?
Well,
we don't know, but
you
we
gotta say it like
to if
you gotta
it's the
say
final.
it like a sound effect from The Legend of Zelda. Yeah.
See, I was thinking of it as Haya, but now that you've said that, yeah, it's definitely here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's him doing the backwards leap from Ocarina of Time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? If he makes it to Insomnia, we can ask himself how he wants it to be said, and then we can ignore it and say it like that anyway. Meanwhile, the Lakeside Leviathans looking to try and contest, managing to get a knock-up onto Achari. Honeybud does pick up 1 more kill. Will this be enough to start the comeback? The Guardians look forward. They get a Cataclysm, knocking 3
Hey, look,
people
guys,
into
Ezreal's
safety.
unkillable.
And with Azir raining damage down, with Ezreal being unkillable, yet another ace, another obliteration. The Mountain Dragon will fall. This could easily be the end of the game. The teleport is triggered. That's going to be Ezreal right onto the inhibitor. He'll take it down even faster because the dragon goes down as well. That's 2 Mountain Dragons, and the rest of the team can walk towards the Nexus turrets. The death times are still fairly low, but I'm not sure they're low enough.
This is so much that's going to be lost off the back of this fight. They're going directly to Baron afterwards as well. Even getting the Dragon, the Inhibitor, and the Baron off of just that fight.
And here is going towards the top lane.
He's
Looking
going
to
to the
get
tower.
an inner turret. He's probably going to get a Baron buff free for himself. He's unkillable unless he tries to tank turret shots for days.
This reminds me of what I have to tell teams so often when they're stomping in scrims. It's like, yes, the enemy team may not do damage.
Turrets
still do damage.
Buy an Ohm Wrecker if you're going to play like that. Do it for magical.
Do not summon him. Do not use his name in vain.
I love that, man. Oh, dear me. The Tyneside Guardians look so very good right now, Sin. They are 12,000 gold in the lead. They've got a Baron buff on 4 or 5 of their members. Then they have got Haya, who is completely unkillable. He is 7-0-9, and he is here in his way to victory.
Yeah, this is unstoppable, and like we're saying, a lot of it comes down to the compositional issue that how the hell do you engage? How the hell do you kill this Ezreal? You have to literally kill everybody but the Ezreal, and then still have engage tools to get on top of the Ezreal. It is impossible. You needed something like a Camille top lane to be able to lock him down, something like that, a lockdown tool, because there are none other than this Nunu, and Nunu isn't consistent enough once you get past like level 6.
And right now with Nunu unable to do anything to start the key fights, despite the way he picked up the knock-up onto Achari in the last fight that we saw, he's just not ever catching a key member. Azir is putting down so much damage. We talked about Haya and what he's been able to do, but Hylia has really been an unsung hero. A triple kill, a double kill, constant Sand Soldier damage. He's done this for the second game in a row. We've seen another inhibitor turret fall in the top lane. We've just seen Hylia take down Honeybun. He's completely legendary, and he gets himself a double kill for fun as well. Another inhibitor falls. Will we see the end of the game right now? 21 kills to 12 in favor of the Tyneside Guardians. Their foot is well and truly on the neck of the Leviathans, as the Guardians truly show that they are the greatest side. Tyneside greater than Lakeside. You heard it here first. This is going to be the Tyneside Guardians progressing to the semi-finals of the Belong Arena Clash for the second time today. A first seed from groups drops out, making way for a second seed. The Tyneside Guardians are in the quarterfinals.
And here shows with a lot of heckin' damage, he finishes that game out cleanly. And we said that a lot of it came down to those compositional issues where they had no way onto the backline. They had no way to deal with this Azir Ezreal that just seemed unstoppable come the end of the game. But they had the time to be able to make those plays early, to try and snowball people ahead. They put a lot of emphasis into getting the Ryze lead. The Ryze was a non-factor throughout the entire game. We said they needed to get kills onto Corki, kills onto Jinx. They went neglected, and they became non-factors as well.
Hey, and team are one best of 3 series away from the esports stage, Insomnia 65. As are the London Lionhearts, a team who found themselves on that stage. Regan, he's got a bunch of new friends he's playing with, but he's trying to emulate the success he had in the last split.
I should bring my Ocarina now to next week.
Do it. Absolutely fine. Nobody here in our production team thought the Guardians had a chance.
No one at all.
That's a complete lie. Our production staff actually called this one completely. In fact,
both of them did, I think.
I think they did, and I hate to say it's him, but I think in my message earlier I might have done it as well.
Right, so I'm the only one who predicted this wrong. Oof.
So, okay, it's a 2-2 apparently between our team, but the important thing is that you've gone full Mao on that one. Meanwhile, we've got ourselves
upsets. I'd rather see some exciting upsets than just the expected result every week.
Sure.
And this is big upsets today.
We don't get the opportunity to find out today exactly who's won in our other 2 quarterfinals, but we will be opening the broadcast next week, finding out exactly who was made to the semi-finals, and then we will cast those games live from this very studio. Next week we will have the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends semi-finals. We'll see the London Lionhearts against someone, and we'll see the Tyneside Guardians going up against someone as well. Here, good night.